Warrior Lore. Chapter 2170. Huanma was very good at escaping. Because he was Huanma, he could create countless clones, making it hard to tell which one was the real one. Endless demonic aura was retreating. Inside the demonic aura, countless demonic shadows appeared. Each shadow emitted a powerful demonic aura. Boom! Hundreds of millions of lightning bolts were raging. Each lightning bolt was as thick as a mountain and could tear the void. Wherever the lightning passed, it would inevitably leave a dark crack in the void. In the center of the endless lightning bolts, there were 9 extremely powerful Dao patterns imprinted in the void, sealing a small world. Inside that small world, there was a middle-aged man wearing animal skin and holding a stone staff. The peerless Renhuang was extremely powerful. He directly chased after Huanma. With a wave of the stone staff in his hand, countless demonic shadows dissipated in the void, and a large amount of demonic aura was directly dispersed. In just an instant, the 2 great cultivators had already disappeared into the depths of the earth. Gu Fei wanted to chase after them, but in the end, he still stopped. The battle between these powerful cultivators was full of variables. If he was not careful, he might also be affected. It should be known that whether it was Huanma or Zhang Renhuang, their speed was too fast. Forget it, the harvest this time is not small. Gu Fei was talking to himself. He looked at Zhang Renhuang's 9 Dao patterns and suddenly understood something. If he could understand it, he could try to break through to the saint level. He had already touched that level, but he did not dare to easily try to break through because the power in the unseen world was too powerful and terrifying. But today, for the first time, he saw a supreme existence that was not afraid of that power. The 9 Dao patterns were mysterious and abstruse. The truth of the world contained in them could absolutely compete with that power. The dozens of demonic corpses also retreated with Huanma's departure. Gu Fei rushed out from the depths of the earth, then opened his inner world and released Tai Shui Taoist. At this time, the frightening demonic aura in the world was about to completely dissipate. This is, when Tai Shui Taoist saw the corpses all over the ground, he was extremely shocked. These corpses all had one thing in common, and that was that all their essence had been lost, turning them into strange mummies. Their essence, qi, and soul had all been devoured. There was only one result, and that was their soul would scatter. These creatures were already dead to the point where they couldn't be more dead, and there was still demonic qi lingering on their bodies. Let's go back first. After saying that, Gu Fei headed in the direction of the ancient ruins. Although the Iron Blood Taoist wanted to know what had happened, he had no time to ask because Gu Fei was already far away. He quickly chased after her. Soon, they returned to the ancient city ruins. At this time, Gu Fei did not expect to see outsiders in the ancient city ruins. It's you. A woman wearing a golden mask was sitting cross-legged beside the teleportation array in the ancient city ruins. She was the Golden Goddess. Gu Fei didn't expect the Golden Goddess to be able to make it all the way. The demonic qi over there was overwhelming, but now it has calmed down. Just what in the world happened? The Golden Goddess opened her eyes, and 2 rays of golden light shot out from behind the golden mask. A faint golden light circulated around her body. Why should I tell you? Gu Fei said with a smile. You. The Golden Goddess couldn't help but be startled. After thinking about it, she realized that it made sense. Why would he tell her? Haha, if you want to know what happened, it's actually not that difficult. Gu Fei said as he looked at the Golden Goddess with a meaningful look. Tell me, what do you want? The Golden Goddess was very straightforward. There was nothing in this world that came without sowing. If he wanted to know something, he would have to pay the price. It's very simple. You just need to take off the mask on your face. Gu Fei said. The Golden Goddess's golden mask was very extraordinary. Even though Gu Fei had cultivated the martial path heavenly eye, he couldn't see through it. It was difficult for him to see the Golden Goddess's face. What? The Golden Goddess was startled. Then, she fell silent and stopped talking. Heh, my master just wants to see your true appearance. Why don't you just take off your mask and let my master have a look? Gu Zhong said with a smile. Humph. The Golden Goddess snorted coldly, but still didn't say anything. Could it be that the goddess's face is made of gold? Someone among the 12 bandits said, "You're courting death." The golden goddess waved her hand and a golden light immediately rushed out, sweeping towards the 12 bandits. The 12 bandits were startled. They never thought that the golden goddess would dare to attack in front of Gu Fei. Just when they wanted to dodge, a figure was already standing in front of them. A bird's cry was heard. A firebird emerged from that person's body. A hand reached out from the divine flames and blocked the golden light. "Goddess, why do you need to lower yourself to their level?" A voice was heard. The person who blocked the golden goddess's attack was a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. This person was the Iron Blood Taoist. The golden goddess snorted coldly and stopped attacking. "All right, all of you, behave yourselves. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion." Gu Fei said to the 12 bandits. "Master is going to cultivate in seclusion. Master's cultivation is going to break through again?" Everyone was shocked. They knew very well that Gu Fei had already come into contact with that level. If Gu Fei's cultivation broke through again, wouldn't he become a saint? The golden goddess could no longer maintain her calm at this time. Gu Fei didn't pay any more attention to the golden goddess. He directly opened his inner world and entered it with his disciples. Very soon, the golden goddess was the only one left in the ancient ruins. "This damned guy." The golden goddess was furious when she saw that Gu Fei didn't invite her into his inner world. She then left the ancient ruins and headed in the direction of the monstrous demonic aura. Just as the golden goddess disappeared into the horizon, the teleportation array platform in the ancient city ruins suddenly lit up. The void above the array platform became blurry, and two figures appeared on the teleportation array platform as if they had passed through a layer of transparent water. The two people who appeared on the formation were a man and a woman. Violet Chi revolved around them. They were the two most outstanding members of the Ziyun clan on Buzhou ancestral planet. Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun had finally arrived at the third stage of the ancient path of the human race. The third stage of the human race recorded in the clan's records. Ziyun was like a curious baby, looking around. The third stage of the human race has turned into this. Chapter 2171. Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun of the Ziyun clan arrived at the third stage of the human race. At this moment, Gu Fei and the others had already entered his inner world. The golden goddess had also left the ruins. Only Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun remained in the ruins. I can sense Gu Fei's presence, as well as the presence of demons. Ziyun's constitution was very special. She could sense even the slightest ripple in her surroundings. She could even sense the pulse of the world. She was naturally close to the laws of the world. Gu Fei has actually been ahead of us all this time. Ziyun Xiao's expression immediately turned ugly when he heard this. Gu Fei was the most powerful opponent he had ever faced in his life. The purpose of his cultivation was to ruthlessly trample on this opponent. As a member of a sovereign clan, Ziyun Xiao was very arrogant. To him, the most noble blood in the world flowed within the Ziyun clan. They were the descendants of sovereigns. Losing to Gu Fei was a shadow in Ziyun Xiao's heart. He would fight Gu Fei again sooner or later. Otherwise, he would never be satisfied. "The golden goddess has also stayed here before," Ziyun said with a frown. The golden goddess was a member of the Huang clan. This clan also had the lineage of sovereigns and was not inferior to the Ziyun clan. The golden goddess was one of the most outstanding figures of the current generation of the Huang clan, while Ziyun was also a well-known figure in the current generation of the Ziyun clan. Both of them were women, so people had always compared them in the world of cultivation. Was Ziyun stronger, or was the golden goddess able to suppress the female geniuses of the Ziyun clan? No one knew the result. Ziyun and the golden goddess had never fought before, so it was difficult to say who was stronger. Rumble. At this moment, a thunderous sound suddenly rang out from afar. A powerful aura swept over from afar. Ziyun Xiao and Ziyun were shocked. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound. In the distant sky, two powerful figures were fighting. A ball of divine light that resembled a golden sun moved quickly in the air, clashing with a ball of green demon chi. "It's her." When the Z siblings saw the person within the golden light, they couldn't help but be startled. This person was actually the golden goddess. At that moment, the golden goddess ran into trouble. The expert fighting the golden goddess wasn't a human, but a demonic expert emitting a monstrous demonic aura. A tiger that is infinitely close to the saint level. Ziyun could see the true appearance of the ancient demon. It was an extremely ferocious tiger. The tiger had taken on a human form and was a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. Ziyun was naturally close to the great Tao of heaven and earth. She had a pair of divine eyes that could see through all illusions. That tiger demon is quite impressive. He can actually fight the golden goddess endlessly. Ziyun Xiao exclaimed. One must know that the golden goddess was not an ordinary person. She was a descendant of the sovereign bloodline. Such an existence was much more powerful than ordinary people. Kill. The golden goddess bellowed furiously. This tiger demon had appeared out of nowhere. The moment it saw the golden goddess, it attacked, wanting to kill her. Boom. Bang. The two forces kept colliding. The void was collapsing. Dull sounds of collisions were constantly heard. In the sky, there was a huge hole in the void created by the golden goddess and the tiger demon. The void could not withstand such a powerful force. Evil creature, do you really want to force me to kill you? The golden goddess said as she attacked. Rays of dazzling golden light rushed out of her hands and turned into golden divine swords, piercing towards Taoist Hu. Taoist Hu was one of the rare experts in this desolate world. His original form was a tiger. He had taken on a human form and called himself Taoist Hu. In this desolate world where the human clan was extinct, the most powerful existence was the Huanma. But now, the Huanma had been scared away by Jiang Renhuang. Apart from the Huanma, there were many demon clan members in this world. Taoist Hu was one of the few demon clan experts in the great wilderness. After devouring you, I can break through my current realm, Taoist Hu said as he dodged the golden divine swords. Taoist Hu said as he dodged the piercing golden divine sword. In his eyes, the golden goddess was the best food. If he could defeat the golden goddess and devour her essence, chi, and spirit, it would absolutely be of great benefit to him. Very well, then go to hell. The golden goddess was shocked and angry. Then, she waved her hands in front of her. Rays of golden light rushed out, intertwined into a golden net, and shrouded Taoist Hu. The golden net covered the whole world, completely blocking all of Taoist Hu's escape routes. This, Taoist Hu was shocked. He did not expect his opponent to have such a move. She was forcing him to fight with her, which was very disadvantageous to him. Buzz. Taoist Hu opened his mouth and spat out a large seal, which smashed towards the golden net. On the seal, there were faint tiger stripes. The legendary white tiger seal. The golden goddess was shocked, but soon, she found that the seal only emitted a wave of sage-level power. This was a divine device, but it was not the white tiger seal of the divine beast white tiger in the legend. It turns out to be a counterfeit. The golden goddess breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the white tiger seal collided with the golden net. With a muffled sound, the white tiger seal tore a big hole in the golden net. Countless golden Taoist patterns were dissipating. Taoist Hu activated the sage-level power contained in the counterfeit white tiger seal. At this time, he was extremely powerful and confident that no one under the sage-level power could compete with him. This was Taoist Hu's last card. If even the counterfeit white tiger seal could not defeat his opponent, then he could only run away. Rumble. The counterfeit white tiger seal was shaking, and the entire world was shaking as well. Ancient and mysterious white tiger divine marks appeared on the huge seal. Roar. An illusory image of a white tiger appeared in the void and roared at the sky. An extremely dangerous aura spread out in all directions from the white tiger seal. At that moment, the golden net that the golden goddess had conjured had completely dissipated in the void. The golden goddess immediately retreated 50 kilometers away. You can't escape. Come here, and let me devour you. With the counterfeit white tiger seal in his hand, Taoist Hu approached the golden goddess step by step. Every time he took a step, the whole world and the void trembled. Taoist Hu seemed to be taking a casual step, but he had triggered the momentum of heaven and earth and controlled the pulse of heaven and earth. He gathered a peerless and powerful wave of power to suppress the golden goddess. Taoist whose cultivation was indeed powerful. He could easily resonate with the great way of heaven and earth and mobilize the power of heaven and earth to attack his opponent. Taoist who was only one step away from becoming a sage, but he was not in a hurry to take that step. He seemed to know the consequences of breaking through to the sage level. Very good. That's more like it. The golden goddess retreated again. Taoist who was extremely powerful and seemed to have the upper hand. However, only Taoist who knew that his opponent's cultivation and battle strength were definitely not weaker than his. Roar. A roar suddenly came from the golden goddess. Then, a golden dragon rushed out from her body. An overwhelming aura emanated from the golden dragon's body. That's Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao were shocked when they saw this. They could feel an extremely powerful wave of sage-level power from the golden dragon. Another divine weapon. A divine sword transforming into a dragon. Is this the golden dragon sword of the golden clan? Zi Yunxiao muttered to himself. He was from the Ziyun clan, so he naturally knew a lot about the golden clan. The golden dragon sword was a protective divine weapon refined by a senior expert in the golden clan. This golden dragon sword was different from the others. It was made of a rare divine iron and was extremely sharp. An ordinary divine weapon could not withstand it at all. At this moment, the golden dragon formed by the sword qi rushed toward Taoist Hu. The cold sword qi caused the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. This, Taoist Hu was extremely shocked. His opponent also had a divine weapon, and it was much more powerful than his counterfeit white tiger seal. This was not a good thing. Without any suspense, the white tiger seal was a counterfeit and not the real one. The seal was directly sent flying by the golden dragon sword qi. Taoist Hu was also affected. He vomited blood and retreated. These humans, Taoist Hu reached out and recalled the counterfeit white tiger seal. He turned around and left. His opponent's divine weapon was more powerful than his. If he did not leave now, he would only be killed by his opponent. Where are you going? The golden goddess would not let this tiger demon go so easily. She recalled the golden dragon sword and chased after him. Soon, the two experts disappeared into the distance. Should we go after them and see? Zi Yun looked at her elder brother Zi Yunxiao and said, the outcome has been decided. That tiger demon is no match for the golden goddess. There is no need to watch, Zi Yunxiao said. With his eyesight, how could he not see that the tiger demon had been defeated? He was not interested in watching such a battle. In the end, Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao decided to find Gu Fei first. Therefore, they walked in the great wilderness. However, in the end, they still returned to the ancient city ruins. Zi Yun was shocked to find that Gu Fei's aura had disappeared from the ancient city ruins. Could it be that Gu Fei has already left? Zi Yunxiao's expression was not so good. He was still brooding over his defeat at the hands of Gu Fei. In fact, even if Zi Yunxiao turned the entire great wilderness upside down, he would not be able to find Gu Fei. This was because Gu Fei was in seclusion in his own inner world. Chapter 2172. Gu Fei was comprehending the way. For him, his martial body was strong enough, but his understanding of the way was not enough. If he wanted to become a saint, he had to understand the way to an almost perfect level. Just like human Emperor Jiangxian, Gu Fei was inspired by the nearly perfect human emperor's 9 Tao patterns. It was not impossible to become a saint, even in the current world. The power that was above the heavenly way in the world was not impossible to resist. At least, human Emperor Jiangxian had successfully demonstrated the divine power of human emperor. This made Gu Fei see hope. As long as his understanding of the way could reach the level of human Emperor Jiangxian, he would be able to become a saint. However, it was almost impossible to comprehend a nearly perfect way. Gu Fei knew that if his understanding of the way reached the level of human Emperor Jiangxian, he could become another human emperor. It was not an easy task to become the supreme ruler of the human race. To a certain extent, the human emperor could be considered the supreme ruler of the world. In Gu Fei's inner world, there was a valley. From time to time, Tao patterns rushed out. The great way of the world fluctuated in the valley. It was as if a world was evolving in the valley. Is Master going to break through to the saint level? Many people were standing on a low mountain outside the valley. Gu Zhong looked at the valley in front of him in shock and said, Master is going to become a saint. Yao Yu was shocked. A saint was the most powerful existence in the world. However, she also knew that it was impossible to become a saint in the current world. It is impossible to become a saint in the human world. Your master is comprehending the way. At this time, Iron Blood Daoist spoke. He stared at the valley in front of him and sensed the way rhyme coming from the valley. His face was very serious. The way that Iron Blood Daoist comprehended was different from Gu Fei's. However, he could use Gu Fei's way as a reference. This was a good opportunity. Maybe it could help him to improve his understanding of the way. Since he could not become a saint, he would find another way. This was the inspiration that Gu Fei received after watching the battle between human Emperor Jiangxian and Huanma. This was a path that no one had taken before, and perhaps it could be used to become a saint. It was precisely because no one had tried it that Gu Fei had to explore everything by himself. Buzz. At that moment, the sound of the void rumbling came from the valley. On a stone platform in the valley, a figure sat cross-legged. There were 9 blurry Dao patterns around this figure. These were the 9 Dao patterns that Gu Fei had comprehended. However, these were only the embryonic forms of the 9 Dao patterns. Once these 9 Dao patterns were formed, he would be able to become a saint. Gu Fei's entire person seemed to have merged with the great path of heaven and earth. He used the anti-emptiness secret technique to merge his body with heaven and earth, using the heavenly path as a reference. The divine sound of the great path faintly emanated from his body. This was the resonance between his path and the heavenly path. Just as Gu Fei was comprehending the heavenly Tao, the third stage of the human race's ancient road was in chaos. Incomparably powerful wild beasts emerged from the depths of the great wilderness. The Golden Goddess killed Daoist Hu. This was the cause of this chaos. Daoist Hu was one of the most powerful wild beasts in the great wilderness. He had the bloodline of the ancient divine beast, the white tiger, in his body. He was extremely powerful. The death of this wild beast made all the wild beasts in the great wilderness feel threatened. These foreign humans were a source of threat to the wild beasts in the great wilderness. A few incomparably powerful wild beasts joined forces and launched a terrifying beast tide. Not only the Golden Goddess, but Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao were also affected. Countless wild beasts wreaked havoc. Even the Golden Goddess had to retreat. The Golden Goddess was forced to retreat by the joint forces of the 3 wild beasts. She was chased by the 3 wild beasts for millions of miles. She was extremely embarrassed and finally managed to shake off the 3 wild beasts with great difficulty. Among the 3 emperors of the savage beasts, one of them was a holy beast that had sealed its sage-level cultivation. Against such an existence, even if the Golden Goddess had the sacred weapon of the Gold Clan, it was not enough. It should be known that the physical body of a sacred beast was a sacred weapon. The physical body of a sacred beast was unbelievably tough. It could fight against a sacred weapon refined by a human. After the 3 beast sovereigns lost track of the Golden Goddess, they went after Zi Yunxiao and his sister. The 3 beast sovereigns intercepted Zi Yunxiao and his sister in the sky above a mountain. Human, prepare to die. The sacred beast that had sealed itself sent a message to Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao. Then, it extended its claw and grabbed at Zi Yun'er. A powerful force enveloped the surroundings and sealed the space. The seemingly casual grab had actually sealed off all of Zi Yunxiao and Zi Yunxiao's escape routes. This was a divine ape. It was 3 meters tall and covered in long black fur. An extremely fierce killing intent radiated from the divine ape's body. You're courting death. When Zi Yunxiao saw the godly ape attack his little sister, he was enraged. He then took a step forward and stood between Zi Yun'er and the godly ape. Boom! Zi Yunxiao was like a celestial that had descended from the heavens. The celestial aura he exuded was unprecedentedly powerful. A great battle broke out. The divine ape was extremely powerful. It fought endlessly against Zi Yunxiao. For a moment, a victor had yet to be determined between the two. Roar! The divine ape roared again and again. This was the strongest opponent it had ever encountered. It found it hard to imagine that there was still an existence among the humans that could fight against a wild beast. Zi Yunxiao's strength made the divine ape uneasy. After all, he was a sacred beast. Although he had sealed his cultivation and strength, his physical body was truly a sacred body. Why is there such a powerful existence in this place? Zi Yunxiao was extremely shocked as well. The third stage of the ancient road of the humans was extraordinary. The wild beasts here had reached such a terrifying level. They had just arrived at this place, and they had already encountered such an opponent. Big brother, do you need me to help? Zi Yun had already retreated. She watched the battle anxiously. The divine ape was extremely powerful. In her opinion, her big brother had not become a saint yet. The chances of him winning against such a self-sealing existence were not high. No need, Zi Yunxiao said calmly. If he could not even subdue the divine ape, then he would not have the right to fight against Gu Fei. After all, Gu Fei had once fought against a self-sealing saint from the Zi Yun clan. Die! An endless amount of purple lightning surged from Zi Yunxiao's body. He rushed towards the divine ape, and the murderous intent he exuded caused the surrounding temperature to drop. Roar! Chapter 2173. Zi Yunxiao was very unlucky. He encountered the strongest beast in the world. This beast was a godly ape. It was not an ordinary godly ape. It had the blood of an ancient beast flowing through its veins. Bang! The divine ape roared and threw a punch at Zi Yunxiao. The powerful force shook the heavens and the earth. The space in front of the fist collapsed and turned into a place of chaos. The destructive force rushed towards Zi Yunxiao. Bzzz, the space shook and Zi Yunxiao's entire body became blurry. In the next moment, he appeared on the left side of the godly ape and swept his leg towards the godly ape. His right leg was like a whip that swept across the waist of the godly ape. The godly ape acted as if nothing had happened. It extended its hand and grabbed onto Zi Yunxiao's right leg. Boom! The godly ape grabbed onto Zi Yunxiao's right leg and smashed Zi Yunxiao onto the ground. The earth shook and dust flew into the sky. A huge crater appeared on the ground. Brother. When Zi Yuner saw this scene from afar, she was extremely shocked. Damn it! Zi Yunxiao rushed out of the crater. His face was covered in dust, and he looked like a mess. That smash seemed fierce, but it did not hurt Zi Yunxiao at all. Zi Yunxiao was born in the Zi Yun clan and had the blood of the Venerable One flowing through his veins. How could he be injured so easily? Go die. Zi Yunxiao's hands danced and beams of purple light appeared on his hands. Then, they pierced through the godly ape in an earth-shattering manner. Within every ray of purple light, there were marks of the Tao. It seemed that Zi Yunxiao was really angry. Whoosh! The godly ape moved quickly between the mountains, avoiding the rays of purple light that were piercing towards him. Although the godly ape was huge, when it moved, it was extremely fast. It was not affected by its huge body at all. After dodging Zi Yunxiao's attack, the godly ape opened its mouth and spat out countless bolts of black lightning towards Zi Yunxiao. Humph! Zi Yunxiao humphed coldly. Then, his hands moved in front of him. The power of the 5 elements quickly gathered between his hands, and a 5-colored wheel appeared before him. Go! Zi Yunxiao did not hesitate. He immediately threw out the 5-colored roulette. The extremely strong power of the 5 elements surged on the roulette. Rumble, heaven and earth shook, and the spiritual chi of heaven and earth from all directions frantically gathered toward the 5 elements wheel. The 5 elements wheel was like the wheel of annihilation. It directly obliterated thousands of lightning bolts and pressed down on the divine ape. Zi Yunxiao had the great 5 elements divine physique. This kind of physique was innately close to the 5 elements essence of heaven and earth. When he cultivated, it would be even easier for him to achieve twice the results with half the effort. On the 5-element wheel, there were colorful patterns intertwining. It was like a real peerless divine weapon. The terrifying waves that spread out shocked the divine ape. To think that this human was already this strong, even though he wasn't a saint. If he were to become a saint, what would he be like then? However, The divine ape soon realized that no one in the current world could become a sage in the human realm unless there was a major change. The human world could be said to be the burial ground of saints. As long as someone dared to break the seal on their body and regain their saint cultivation, a terrifying calamity would descend from the heavens and earth, killing the saint. Unless the saint was a human emperor, not even an immortal Venerable would be able to withstand the force of the calamity. Bang! The divine ape waved his fist and punched upwards. His powerful saint physique exploded with a terrifying force. Every time he punched, the five-colored roulette that was descending from the heavens would tremble. Damn! Zhi Yunxiao did not dare to be careless. He used all his strength to control the five elements wheel. The patterns of the five elements intertwined and formed mysterious and ancient patterns. A destructive force descended from the five-colored roulette. Roar! The divine ape roared in anger and punched upwards again and again. However, the five-colored roulette was still pressing down on him. It was as if the real-world annihilation roulette had appeared in the world. At this moment, Zhi Yun was extremely nervous. He knew that Zhi Yunxiao had already used all his strength. The five elements qi was rising from his body. He had already used the five elements technique to its maximum. I'll fight it out with you. The divine ape sensed danger. This human really had the ability to threaten him. He opened his mouth and spat out a black divine pearl. Endless black lightning bloomed from the divine pearl. The black divine pearl rushed towards the five elements wheel that was descending from the heavens. Boom! With a loud bang, the divine pearl collided with the five elements wheel. An earth-shattering sound erupted. The world annihilation roulette that Zhi Yunxiao had conjured with all his strength was shattered by the black divine pearl. Countless patterns of the five elements were dissipating. Puffed! Just as the black divine pearl shattered the five elements wheel, Zhi Yunxiao felt a great impact. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was sent flying. Big brother. Zhi Yun was shocked. She never expected that the situation would be reversed so quickly. The black divine pearl was definitely a saint item. Moreover, it was a powerful saint item. She hurriedly rushed towards Zhi Yunxiao. Rays of spiritual light rushed from all directions and entered Zhi Yunxiao's body. Zhi Yun was using a great technique to heal Zhi Yunxiao's injuries. In an instant, Zhi Yunxiao's injuries were completely healed. Born with a close relationship with the great path of heaven and earth. There's actually such a body type in this world. When the divine ape saw Zhi Yun using a great technique, his eyes lit up. Not everyone could use such a technique to control the spiritual qi from all directions. However, it was different for those who were born with a close relationship with the great path of heaven and earth. Those with such a body type were like the favored children of the heavens and were favored by the heavens. Brother Zhi Yun, how about we join forces and kill this old ape? Suddenly, a voice came from afar. Then, a woman wearing a golden mask walked over from afar. It's you. When the divine ape saw the golden goddess, his eyes immediately turned vertical. His eyes were shining. This was the woman from the human clan who had killed his right-hand man, Taoist Hu. If these two humans were to join forces, things would not be good. The divine ape knew that although he was strong, this woman from the human clan had a saint item on her. These two humans might also have saint items on them. He had already guessed where these humans had come from. The ancient road of the human clan might have been repaired by the human clan. Otherwise, no one from the human clan would be able to come here. The divine ape had lived for countless years. Even his eyelashes were hollow. He did not wait for Zhi Yunxiao to do anything. He retreated into the distance and quickly disappeared into the great wilderness with his group of subordinates. Chapter 2174. The third stage of the human race's ancient road wasn't simple at all. There was actually a self-sealing sacred beast in the vast wilderness. Although the divine ape had retreated, the siblings and the golden goddess couldn't relax. With the existence of this divine ape, there wouldn't be many outstanding talents of the human race who would be its opponent. Even the most outstanding people in the world, such as the golden goddess and Zhi Yunxiao siblings, would not be able to contend against this old ape even if they used their saint artifacts. How could there be such a powerful existence in this place? Zhi Yun looked in the direction the ape had retreated in and exclaimed in shock. Could the third stage of the human race's ancient road have been destroyed by this ape? The golden goddess muttered to herself. The third stage of the human race's ancient road had been destroyed countless years ago. It had been a very long time since anyone had set foot on this ancient road. No one knew the situation on this ancient road. I didn't expect you to be ahead of us. Ziyunxiao looked at the golden goddess with sparkling eyes. What? Do you want to fight? The golden goddess's battle intent was faintly discernible. She could also sense it from Ziyunxiao's body. It was very likely that Ziyunxiao would attack her. Ziyunxiao took a step forward. His aura instantly changed. A powerful aura surged from his body, and a gust of astral wind appeared out of nowhere. At this time, a layer of golden light appeared on the golden goddess's body. Within the golden light, golden Tao patterns appeared indistinctly and intertwined. All right, are the two of you done yet? Suddenly, a figure appeared between Ziyunxiao and the golden goddess. The two experts couldn't help but be stunned. The person who appeared between them was Ziyun. They were still fighting at this time. If the divine ape came back, they would all die. After all, only Ziyunxiao and the golden goddess could make the old ape worry if they joined forces. If they were alone, they would be in danger of being defeated by the old ape one by one. Where is Gu Fei? Ziyunxiao glanced at his sister and then asked the golden goddess. The battle intent on his body gradually weakened and finally dissipated into nothingness. The golden goddess also didn't want to fight Ziyunxiao at this time. She also retracted her battle intent. That guy, could it be that you want to challenge him to a battle? The golden goddess looked Ziyunxiao up and down, and then said, Do you think you're a match for Gu Fei now? I don't think you have any hope. She shook her head. That's my own business. You just have to tell me where he is. Ziyunxiao said indifferently. Hee. The golden goddess laughed and said, You'll be disappointed. Gu Fei has already gone into seclusion. You won't be able to find him. What? The Z siblings couldn't help but be shocked when they heard this. This guy is in closed-door training. Could it be that he wants to break through to the saint level? When they heard the news that Gu Fei had gone into closed-door cultivation, Ziyunxiao and his sister were truly shocked. After all, Gu Fei's cultivation had already reached the peak of the saint rank. If Gu Fei's cultivation advanced another half a step, he would be a saint. He doesn't dare to become a saint, the golden goddess said. That's true. Ziyunxiao came to a realization. It was common knowledge that it was impossible to become a saint in the current era. No one dared to break through to that level because even if they succeeded, the outcome would be the same, death. However, Gu Fei had gone into closed-door training. This wasn't a good thing for the Z siblings. In the end, Ziyunxiao and his sister returned to the ancient ruins. At this time, the old ape didn't appear again. The old ape was really cautious. At this time, in a valley in Gu Fei's inner world, the great Tao of heaven and earth was vast and mighty. Tao patterns that emitted the aura of heaven and earth were interweaving. What is Master doing? On a small mountain in the distance, Gu Zhong had been observing the movements in the opposite valley. The aura of the heavenly Tao made his heart palpitate. It was as if a great world was evolving. The fluctuations of the great Tao of heaven and earth made people feel a great pressure. He's comprehending and deducing the heavenly Tao. The Iron Blood Taoist's voice sounded behind Gu Zhong. Only the Iron Blood Taoist, who had the highest cultivation, could see what Gu Fei was doing. Gu Fei was using the heavenly Tao to perfect his Tao. This was the most common method of comprehending the Tao. Most cultivators who had reached Gu Fei's level would use this method to perfect their Tao. Even the Iron Blood Taoist was no exception. At his level of cultivation, comprehending the Tao was the only way out. Once he comprehended his true Tao and evolved the 9 Tao patterns, he could become a saint. The heavenly Tao is unpredictable. It really isn't as simple as it sounds. Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on the stone platform, muttered to himself. His entire body was emitting Tao patterns. The 9 blurry Tao patterns fused with the other Tao patterns. This made Gu Fei's entire aura seem to fuse with the heavenly Tao. It was as if he was the supreme heavenly Tao. a supreme God who could control the lives and deaths of billions of living beings in the world. The heavenly Tao was difficult to truly comprehend. Gu Fei discovered that the heavenly Tao was constantly changing and was hard to grasp. Around Gu Fei, countless Tao patterns were born and then destroyed. However, the total number of Tao patterns would not increase or decrease. The emotionless heavenly Tao remained at 49 Tao patterns that were naturally born from heaven and earth. The heavenly Tao was changing, but no matter how much it changed, it would always maintain 49 Tao patterns. This phenomenon puzzled Gu Fei. Why would there be such a change? Could it be that the Tao was not unstable and could constantly change? No one could answer Gu Fei. He could only rely on himself to comprehend all of this. He sat there for 10 years. He seemed to have forgotten the existence of time. His divine sense was in a special state of merging with the heavenly Tao. 10 years. For the past 10 years, Gu Zhong and the other disciples had been staying outside the valley. Even the 12 great bandits were the same. They could comprehend the heavenly Tao here, which made their cultivation twice the result with half the effort. In these 10 years, Gu Zhong's cultivation finally broke through to the 7th heaven of Almighty Realm. Yao Yu was also only a step away from the Almighty Emperor Realm. The one who improved the most was Gu Zhong's new disciple, Meng Long. As the most outstanding talent of the Meng clan, Meng Long did not disappoint Gu Zhong. In these 10 years, he advanced triumphantly and cultivated to the immortal God realm. Among the 12 great bandits, Zhuge Liang's cultivation improved a lot. He took another big step towards the quasi-sage realm and became a grand completion half-sage. Even the other members of the 12 great bandits had broken through the bottleneck of their cultivation. They took the most important step towards the sage realm and achieved half-sage Dao fruit. Zhong Liming's cultivation was similar to Yao Yu's. He was also only a step away from the Almighty Emperor realm. This was an incomparably powerful force. If it was released, it would be enough to sweep through a region in the human realm and become a powerful existence at the level of an overlord. But at this time, this force was still in hiding. This was because the owner of this force was still in seclusion. What's going on? At noon, Gu Zhong woke up from his cultivation. He was shocked to sense that the fluctuation of the heavenly Tao in the valley was gradually weakening. Is Master coming out of seclusion? At this time, a woman appeared on the mountain. This woman was Gu Fei's disciple and Gu Zhong's junior sister, Yao Yu. The aura of the heavenly Tao is weakening. Old Flood Dragon's voice was heard. At this time, Old Flood Dragon was different from 10 years ago. The aura of the true dragon on his body was stronger. This was a sign that the true dragon's bloodline had been refined to become purer. Old Flood Dragon had great ambitions. He wanted to become a powerful existence like the ancient ancestral dragon. It's time. Iron Blood Taoist also came to the small mountain. In the end, even the 12 great bandits were alarmed. At this time, in the valley, countless Tao patterns were dissipating. The heavenly Tao was dissipating, but the 9 blurry Tao patterns around Gu Fei became much clearer. However, the 9 chaos Tao patterns were still not fully formed. They were still very blurry. However, the aura of the great path that emanated from the 9 Tao patterns was much stronger. After sitting for 10 years, Gu Fei had undoubtedly gained a lot. It was known that it was very difficult for him to improve his cultivation at his current level. In particular, the comprehension of the great path was especially difficult. It was harder than ascending to the heavens to improve one step. This was also one of the reasons why it was so difficult to become a saint. Even in ancient times, it wasn't easy to become a saint. The 9 chaos Tao patterns circled around Gu Fei. After all the 49 heavenly Tao patterns dissipated, the 9 chaos Tao patterns also disappeared into Gu Fei's body. Phew! Gu Fei's chest and abdomen moved. He opened his mouth and let out a mouthful of turbid air. Then, he opened his eyes. In his eyes, the chaos Tao patterns were faintly discernible. When Gu Fei stood up, a sonic boom immediately rang out from his body. He hadn't moved for 10 years, causing his body to feel a little stiff. After tidying up his clothes and stretching, Gu Fei jumped off the stone platform and walked out of the valley. Master, Master. When Gu Fei walked out of the valley, Gu Zhong and the others came to greet him. I broke through. Iron Blood Taoist's eyes lit up when he saw Gu Fei. Gu Fei gave him a different feeling, but he could not tell what was different about Gu Fei. Yes. Gu Fei nodded. Master, you have been in seclusion for 10 years. Yao Yu said. 10 years. Gu Fei was shocked when he heard this. It had been so long. So long. He thought that he would only be in seclusion for a few months. Gu Fei did not expect that 10 years had passed in the blink of an eye. 10 years was nothing for cultivators, but for mortals, there were not many 10 years in their lives. I wonder what's going on outside, Gu Fei said. Chapter 2175. In the sky above the ancient city ruins, transparent ripples appeared silently. Then, a circular tunnel appeared in the void. A wave of inner-world energy came out from the circular passageway. Then, a group of people walked out of the passageway. Boom. As soon as the group of people walked out of the tunnel, a divine mountain that emitted a terrifying fluctuation fell from the sky and smashed towards them. What? No one thought that they would be attacked as soon as they came out. Gu Zhong and the others were shocked and angry. Who dared to attack them? That person must be tired of living. Gu Zhong didn't hesitate. He took a step forward and punched upwards. A dazzling golden light bloomed from his fist. Golden Dao patterns appeared on his fist. Bang! Gu Zhong's fist fiercely smashed against the divine mountain that was falling from the sky. A powerful fist force erupted, and the entire divine mountain was blown into the sky by his fist force. In terms of physical strength, among all the cultivators, only the Vajra real body of the Buddhist sect or the undying body of the demons could compete with the martial body. When the martial body was cultivated to the great completion realm, it could compete with the innate divine beasts of the ancient times. How is this possible? A cry of surprise was heard. Then, Gu Zhong and the others saw a figure rushing up to the sky. The figure took the divine mountain and retreated into the distance. Gu Zhong snorted coldly. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, his figure appeared high up in the sky. As a seventh heaven almighty, his strength and speed had more than doubled. Especially the strength of the martial body, it was comparable to the divine weapon refined by a peak almighty. It could be said that the current Gu Zhong was a divine weapon of the almighty in human form. You sneak attacked us and you want to leave just like that? Gu Zhong's voice was extremely cold. He was really angry. This person was too despicable. Fortunately, it was them. If it was someone else, they might not be so lucky. That divine mountain was definitely a divine weapon refined by a peak almighty. That person is going to be unlucky. Yao Yu, an old flood dragon, couldn't help shaking their heads. The person who attacked them wasn't a half-step saint, but a peak expert. A peak expert was nothing in Gu Zhong's eyes. Although he was only a seventh heaven almighty, this peak almighty was far from being a match for him. Gu Zhong only took 3 steps in the void, and he had already caught up to the pinnacle almighty. His speed was so fast that it left everyone speechless. What? The almighty at the pinnacle was shocked. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate today. The pinnacle expert was a middle-aged Taoist. Judging from his attire, he should be someone from the Buzhou ancestral star, but Gu Zhong was surprised as to how he managed to get here. Could it be that someone from Buzhou ancestral star had begun to step onto this ancient path? 10 years wasn't a short period of time. During these 10 years, Gu Zhong and the others stayed in Gu Fei's inner world. They had no idea what was happening in the outside world. At this time, the others who came out from Gu Fei's inner world were also shocked. There were many houses in the ruins of the ancient city. The ruins were no longer barren, but had been cleared by someone. Many pavilions were built, and many people were walking around. What happened here in the past 10 years? Yao Yu couldn't help but ask. Everyone shook their heads. At this moment, a figure rushed out from one of the floating islands in the sky above the ancient city ruins. That person quickly flew towards Yao Yu and the others. Fellow Taoists, where are you from? The person came in front of everyone and couldn't help but be shocked. He never expected that there would be so many experts of the human race in the ancient city ruins. At this time, the passage in the void had already disappeared. Gu Fei didn't come out with the others. It was a thin old man with a smile on his face, but in fact, he was extremely nervous. Such a group of people had directly appeared in the third stage of the ancient road of the human race. It was something that had never happened before. It should be known that those who set foot on the ancient road of the human race were usually alone or in groups of 2 or 3 to take care of each other. However, it was extremely rare for a large group of people to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. What happened here? It wasn't like this 10 years ago. Old Zhao glanced at the thin old man and said indifferently. The fact that the old man was a half-step saint surprised him. 10 years ago, the thin old man couldn't help but be shocked. Could these people have been here 10 years ago? How was that possible? 10 years ago, no one dared to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. The changes of the ancient road of the human race happened in the past 5 or 6 years. Several superpowers of Buzhou ancestral star joined forces to reopen the ancient road of the human race. It was also for this reason that many people took the risk to set foot on this ancient road. Yes. Seeing that the old man didn't answer his question, old Zhao couldn't help but feel a little unhappy. Hee, these things can't be explained in a short time. Why don't you all come with me to Levitating Island? The old man said with a smile. In front of such a group of people, he really didn't dare to be careless, because there were a few half-step saints in this group. In particular, there was a Taoist in the middle of the group, who he couldn't see through. Levitating Island. Old Zhao looked up into the sky and saw an island floating high in the sky. The island was surrounded by a layer of water, but the water around the island didn't fall down. What do you think? Old Zhao said to Yao Yu and the Iron Blood Taoist. The Iron Blood Taoist nodded, while Yao Yu didn't have any objections. Only Zhong Liming looked up at the island in the sky and frowned. Please. The thin old man made an inviting gesture and then led the way. He led the group into the sky and flew towards the island in the sky. Everyone was skilled and bold, but they weren't afraid of the old man playing tricks. They followed the old man into the levitating island without any scruples. At this time, Gu Zhong had already caught up with the Peak Almighty. The Peak Almighty's cultivation was also extremely powerful, and when he fought with his life on the line, he was extremely fierce. Even someone as powerful as Gu Zhong couldn't kill him in a short time. An hour later, Gu Zhong finally killed that pinnacle expert on the spot. This battle had destroyed a mountain range, alarming everyone in the vicinity. Who was that person? He actually killed an expert of the Hellion family. Someone whispered, "It's none of our business. It's better for us to mind our own business." Someone said, "Hey, where are those guys?" Chapter 2176. On the floating island, Yao Yu and the others felt like they had entered a fairyland. The island was decorated with pavilions and terraces, small bridges, and flowing rivers. The haze was faint, and it was a feast for the eyes. From time to time, all kinds of immortal birds could be seen roaming the mountains. There was a divine deer with 9 colored antlers drinking by a mountain stream, and there was a red-crowned crane fluttering by a small lake. The floating island was like a paradise of immortals. The thin old man led everyone into a palace in this paradise. Fellow Taoists, please wait a moment. I'll go invite my master. As the thin old man spoke, he turned around and walked to the back of the hall. At that moment, a few fairies walked out from the back of the hall with immortal tea in their hands. This old man is actually not the owner of this place. Yao Yu and the Iron Blood Taoist looked at each other in shock. This old man seemed to be a servant, a half-saint servant. The owner of this place must have a great background. The 12 great bandits had no choice but to be cautious. Haha, I didn't think that I would be able to meet Brother Iron Blood here. This is truly fate. Soon, a white-haired, ruddy-faced, white-robed old man walked out from the back of the palace. It's you. When he saw the white-robed old man, Taoist Ironblood couldn't help but be shocked as his expression turned unsightly. This old man was actually the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Manor's Manor Lord. The Earth Immortal Old Man. I was wondering who could do this, but it turns out to be you. You still love to be in the limelight. The Iron Blood Taoist glanced at Lu Di Immortal Wang before speaking in disdain. He didn't have the slightest bit of goodwill towards the people from the South Pole Immortal Manor. The people from the South Pole Immortal Manor were all sanctimonious fellows. Hee, How can I face myself if I don't enjoy my life to the fullest? Lu Di Immortal Wang smiled. Although Lu Di Immortal Wang was the younger brother of South Pole Immortal Venerable, there was a huge difference between the two. Lu Di Immortal Wang acted in a high-profile manner, while his brother was very low-key. Not many of the old geezers on ancestral Buzhou had seen South Pole Immortal Venerable's true appearance. South Pole Immortal Venerable was very mysterious. The demigod Immortal Old Man had moved his floating island to the third trial of the ancient road of humankind. What a generous move. Even though this floating island wasn't a true grotto heaven, it was still comparable to half a grotto heaven. This was a divine item that the South Pole Immortal Sovereign had personally refined for his younger brother. Fellow Taoist Iron Blood, I heard that you've sided with Gu Fei. Is that true? Lu Xian Wang sat down and asked Iron Blood Taoist. Don't make it sound so bad. It's our good fortune to be able to follow our master. The strongest bandit of the 12 bandits, Zhuge Liang, waved the 5-colored feather fan in his hand and said calmly, I'm talking to fellow Taoist Iron Blood. What right do you have to interrupt? The Earth Immortal Old Man was a little unhappy. Old Man Lu, tell us, why did you invite us here? The Iron Blood Taoist did not want to waste time with this guy and went straight to the point. Very good. You're straightforward enough. However, you don't seem to be able to make the decision on this matter. What should we do? You should go back and invite your master over first. Humph. Hearing this, the Iron Blood Taoist couldn't help but get angry. This Earth Immortal Old Man was really too despicable. He had no idea how this guy managed to survive until now without being killed. Yao Yu and the 12 bandits' expressions changed. This Earth Immortal Old Man was actually looking down on them. This guy was just a demi-saint, but he was too arrogant. I won't send you off. The Earth Immortal Old Man waved his hand without even standing up. Iron Blood, junior sister, are you guys inside? At this moment, a voice came from afar. Hearing this voice, everyone in the hall was shocked, especially the Earth Immortal Old Man. His expression turned ugly. Someone actually broke into the floating island without him knowing? Who is it? A loud shout was heard. Then, a powerful energy wave came from the outside. Someone was fighting outside the hall. Outrageous. Immortal slave. Kill without mercy. The Earth Immortal Old Man ordered. You, the Iron Blood Taoist, was shocked. One should know that the person outside was the eldest disciple of Gu Fei. If anything happened to Gu Zhong, Gu Fei would definitely go crazy. Everyone hurriedly rushed out of the hall. When they came out, they saw a skinny old man fighting against a young man on the empty ground in front of the hall. That skinny old man was the one who brought them here. The fact that the Earth Immortal Old Man addressed this powerful old man as an immortal slave shocked the Iron Blood Taoist and the others. A powerful demi-saint was actually an immortal slave. Boom! The immortal slave directly used his strongest technique. With a wave of his hand, a towering flame immediately rushed towards Gu Zhong. Under the scorching heat of this divine flame, transparent ripples appeared in the void. This was not an ordinary immortal flame. Gu Zhong cultivated the power of metal, and fire was the nemesis of metal. In this clash between these two powers, he was actually at a disadvantage. Demi-saint, Gu Zhong's entire body emitted a golden radiance. Golden Tao runes appeared and interweaved into a mysterious diagram, triggering a mighty force of the heaven and earth. Chaotic reversal. Without any hesitation, Gu Zhong directly used one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, the chaotic reversal secret art. The towering divine fire that was rushing towards him instantly lost its aim, and the fire was swept back towards the immortal slave. How is this possible? The immortal slave was shocked to the extreme. The divine flame he cultivated was actually redirected by someone. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it no matter what. Boom! The divine flame was instantly redirected. The immortal slave was so shocked that his movements slowed down. His clothes were instantly turned to ashes and white smoke rose from his head. 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. The Earth Immortal Old Man was incomparably shocked at this scene. The South Pole Immortal Manor was a colossal existence with an incomparably deep foundation. It was comparable to those supreme powers. No one dared to underestimate the South Pole Immortal Manor. As the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Manor's Manor Lord, the Earth Immortal Old Man naturally knew many great secrets of the heaven and earth. The South Pole Immortal Sovereign had a single wish, and that was to collect all 9 secret arts. However, even an existence like the South Pole Immortal Sovereign wasn't able to obtain any of the 9 secret arts. Gu Fei's disciple. The Earth Immortal Old Man came to a realization. The opponent was Gu Fei's disciple. If the immortal slave harmed his life, the consequences would be unimaginable. Immortal slave, retreat. The Earth Immortal Old Man ordered. The skinny old man stopped and no longer attacked Gu Zhong. Go back and tell your master that I, the Earth Immortal Old Man, am looking for him. Chapter 2177. The South Pole Immortal Mansion of Buzhou Ancestral Planet was a transcendent force deep within the divine sea of the South Pole. It was mysterious and powerful, and no one dared to provoke it. As the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Mansion's master, Lu Xianwang's status was undoubtedly transcendent. As time went by, this younger brother of an immortal Venerable became complacent and looked down on the rest of the world. However, Lu Xianwang wasn't a fool since he was able to cultivate a quasi-saint Dao fruit. He knew who he could kill and who he shouldn't provoke. As for those who he could kill directly, as long as they offended him, Earth Immortal Old Man would not be lenient and would kill them right away. However, he was also wary of those he shouldn't provoke. There weren't many people on Buzhou Ancestral Planet that could make him wary, but Gu Fei was definitely one of them. He was also one of the people that Lu Xianwang didn't want to provoke the most. Gu Zhong was Gu Fei's first disciple. If the immortal slave injured him or even killed him, Gu Fei would never let it go. He was a ruthless person who dared to offend even a supremacy clan. Lu Xianwang knew very well that no matter how famous his big brother was, he wouldn't care about such a ruthless person. One should know that the supremacy clan's name was famous enough, yet the other party didn't care. Zi Yunxiao was almost killed by Gu Fei's fist. This was something that all the cultivators on Buzhou Ancestral Planet knew. Zi Yunxiao was the most outstanding descendant of the Supremacy Clan. You want to see my master? Gu Zhong came in front of Lu Xianwang and studied the old man from head to toe. He couldn't tell the depth of this person's cultivation. A quasi-saint? Gu Zhong smiled. This old man might be powerful, but he might not be a match for his master. Especially after his master had meditated for 10 years, he had become even more unfathomable. This Lu Xianwang's cultivation and strength were on par with Iron Blood Taoist. I have something that your master is interested in. I want to join forces with him. Immortal Lu Di said. It was definitely not a coincidence that Gu Fei's disciple had appeared in the 3rd stage of the human race's ancient road. If they could invite Gu Fei over, things would be even more stable. What is it? Gu Zhong asked directly. Haha, as long as you invite your master over, you will know? Lu Xianwang didn't say what it was about, but this piqued the curiosity of Gu Zhong and the others. What was it that made them ask their master for help? My master isn't free right now. Let's wait until he's free. Gu Zhong pondered for a moment before saying these words. Haha, that's good. I have plenty of time. Whenever your master is free, you can come here to find me. Lu Xianwang wasn't displeased. He knew very well that Gu Fei wasn't someone who could be easily invited. It was just a spur-of-the-moment decision, so it didn't matter whether he was invited or not. He had already sent the news back, and he believed that his elder brother would soon send someone over. At that time, even if he didn't manage to invite Gu Fei, it wouldn't matter. All right, we will take our leave then. Gu Zhong cupped his fists at Lu Xianwang, then turned around and left. Yao Yu and the others quickly followed. Only the Iron Blood Taoist stood still. Old man, what are you planning? The Iron Blood Taoist's eyes flickered. A chilling, murderous intent emanated from his body, causing the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. Humph! Iron Blood Taoist, this has nothing to do with you. Lu Xianwang's expression turned cold. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the Iron Blood Taoist. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. The Iron Blood Taoist didn't say anything. He took a step forward and a powerful aura erupted from his body, heading straight for Lu Xianwang. Buzz. A rumble rang out in the air. Transparent ripples could be seen spreading out from the iron blood Taoist's body, causing the air to ripple. Sensing the powerful murderous intent from the iron blood Taoist, Lu Xianwang's expression turned solemn. An aura that was not inferior to the iron blood Taoist's emanated from his body. Compared to the iron blood Taoist's powerful and violent aura, Lu Xianwang's aura was like a spring breeze. It seemed weak, but it resisted the iron blood Taoist's aura. Spring breeze and rain, very good. The iron blood Taoist's eyes brightened. He was about to test the old man from the South Pole Immortal Mansion when Gu Zhong's voice came from afar. "Brother Iron, do you want to catch up with this old man here?" Gu Zhong's voice came from afar. Although it wasn't loud, the iron blood Taoist heard it clearly. Gu Fei's disciple is indeed extraordinary. Lu Xianwang's expression changed when he heard Gu Zhong's voice. He knew very well that this floating island was protected by a saint-grade formation. No sound would be able to travel very far on this divine island because of the power of the formation. However, Gu Zhong's voice was able to penetrate the power of the formation and reach this place. "I'll let you off today." The iron blood Taoist naturally knew that this fight was over. He withdrew his aura and turned to leave. Lu Xianwang didn't stop him. He didn't want to provoke Gu Fei at this time. Gu Zhong and the others left the floating island and returned to the ancient ruins on the ground. At this time, there were many cultivators gathered at the ancient ruins. The sky gradually darkened. Night was coming. The cultivators on the third stage of the human race's ancient road had already made this ancient ruins their stronghold. The great wilderness became even more dangerous after nightfall. However, there wasn't much danger in the ancient ruins because there were experts from great powers overseeing this place. This was especially true for the existence on the divine island in the sky. In fact, the human cultivators built a stronghold here mainly because the beasts in the great wilderness wouldn't dare to approach the ancient ruins even without experts guarding it. There seemed to be something in the ancient ruins that even the beasts of the great wilderness were afraid of. For powerful people, it wasn't difficult for them to find a temporary place to stay in the ancient city ruins, but it was a different situation for the weak. Gu Zhong and the others set up their tents in an area with a radius of about 1,000 feet in the northeast corner of the ancient city ruins and started a bonfire in front of the tents. The 12th and 11th brothers of the 12 bandits entered the forest outside the ancient ruins. Very quickly, they hunted a divine deer. It was a divine deer with 5 colored antlers that weighed 2 to 300 jin. This deer's meat was quite good. They had hunted this kind of deer back on the Buzhou ancestral star. Very quickly, the 12th and 11th brothers prepared the deer and roasted it on the bonfire. A moment later, an appetizing meat aroma wafted through the air. "It's been a long time since I've eaten such high-quality venison." Jade-faced playboy couldn't help but swallow his saliva. The venison was roasted to a golden color, and the fat on it dripped onto the bonfire from time to time, making sizzling sounds. The 12th brother's skill in roasting venison is getting better. Zhuge, the first bandit of the 12, couldn't help but praise. With everyone's cultivation, it didn't really matter whether they ate or not. However, the 12 bandits loved to eat and couldn't change some of their habits as bandits. They often ate large pieces of meat and drank large bowls of wine. After the venison was roasted, not to mention the others, even Yao Yu and Zhong Liming were drooling. How can there be meat without wine? The third brother of the 12 bandits, the burly man, opened a storage space and took out a few jars of wine. Haha, third brother knows how to enjoy. The second bandit, jade-faced playboy, smiled and directly broke the seal of one of the jars of wine. The aroma of wine immediately drifted out of the jar. The aroma of the wine is strong but not strong. The wine is clear but not thick. It's indeed good wine. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out. Everyone was startled. Someone had actually appeared in their midst, but none of them had noticed it at all. Everyone hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice and saw a black-clothed, black-bearded old man sitting beside the third bandit. The black-bearded old man was holding a jar of wine and pouring it into a bowl with a broken corner. "Who are you?" Gu Zhong suddenly stood up from the ground. At this moment, everyone was extremely nervous. Some of them even secretly took out their divine weapons. As soon as the old man made any strange movements, everyone would attack without hesitation. Even the iron-blood Taoist narrowed his eyes when he saw the old man. How did this old man appear? Even he did not sense it. This person must be a saint who had sealed himself. The iron-blood Taoist's expression became solemn when he thought of that. If this was really an existence like that, he might not be able to handle it. Haha, don't be nervous. I'm just here to ask for a bowl of wine. As the black-bearded old man spoke, he directly put the jar of wine away. Then, he raised the bowl with a broken corner and drank it in big mouthfuls. Good wine. The black-bearded old man drank all the wine in the bowl in one gulp. He even licked his lips, as if he wanted to continue. Everyone looked at the mysterious old man who had suddenly appeared. Apart from his black robe, he also had a fist-sized purple gourd on his waist. Impossible. When the iron-blood Taoist saw the purple gourd on the old man's waist, his expression immediately changed. A look of disbelief appeared on his face. He thought of a legendary person. Chapter 2178. Senior, could you be the legendary wine sword saint? The iron-blood Taoist's voice trembled. This was a legendary existence that looked very similar to this old man. Black clothes and a purple gourd. He looked exactly like a sloppy old man. This was very similar to the legendary wine sword saint, a legendary figure of Buzhou ancestral star. Legend has it that he once fought against a golden sovereign. This was an existence comparable to a sovereign before reaching the Tao. In the end, the golden sovereign won and became the extreme sovereign of Buzhou ancestral star. As for the wine sword saint, he failed to break through his limit and become a sovereign. Wine sword saint. The 12 bandits were shocked. They looked at the sloppy old man in a different light. If this old man was really the wine sword saint, it would be enough to shake the world. The sloppy old man didn't say anything. After he finished the big bowl of wine, he reached out and tore off a hind leg from the deer on the bonfire. He then ate it by himself. Delicious, not bad, the sloppy old man said vaguely. His mouth was full of grease as he ate. Not long after, he had finished the entire deer leg that weighed around 20 to 15 kilograms. Why aren't you guys eating? The sloppy old man said embarrassedly when he saw everyone looking at him in shock. Senior, you're welcome. The iron-blood Taoist smiled. Gu Zhong and the rest were shocked to see the iron-blood Taoist trying to please this unassuming sloppy old man. Could this old man really have a great background? Senior, what's going on? Yao Yu transmitted her voice to Gu Zhong. Let's watch first. Gu Zhong transmitted his voice back. He noticed that the sloppy old man seemed to be glancing at him when Yao Yu transmitted her voice to him. Could it be that the sloppy old man sensed their conversation? All right, now that I'm full, it's time for this old man to take a rest. The sloppy old man stood up from the ground and casually wiped his hands on his clothes. After wiping away the grease on his hands, he prepared to leave. Senior, you're leaving now? Junior still has something to ask you. The iron-blood Taoist hurriedly stood up when he saw the sloppy old man leaving. Hearing this, the sloppy old man looked deeply at the iron-blood Taoist, then said, Since I've eaten your food, I'll give these to you. The old man did not say anything. With a wave of his sleeves, he disappeared from where he was standing. At the place where he was standing, there were 3 items. Everyone was shocked. The old man came and went without a trace. As expected, he was a peerless expert. Even the iron-blood Taoist did not see how the old man left. This is, when everyone's gaze fell on the 3 items on the ground, they looked at each other and were speechless for a long time. Everyone felt very surprised. The 3 items on the ground were a long sword, a short axe, and a black and swarthy umbrella with a few holes on it. The sword was an ancient sword, and one could tell at a glance that it didn't have a scabbard. The blade of the sword was covered in rust, as if it would turn into a pile of rust with just a touch. The axe was also an ancient weapon, so its corrosion was no less than that of the sword. However, this was not the thing that surprised Gu Zhong and the others. What really surprised them was that there was not a single trace of spiritual qi on the 3 items. What's going on? Everyone was confused. Even if these 3 items were thrown on the street, no one would pick them up. They were simply scrap metal. After being stunned for a while, Gu Zhong walked forward and reached out to pick up the rusty sword. Gu Zhong only felt his hand sink. The rusty longsword was actually very heavy. Even with his powerful martial body, he was still taken aback. Gu Zhong held the rusty sword, his face filled with shock. The sword that seemed to be completely corroded by the rust was actually hundreds of thousands of pounds. Even an immortal-level existence would find it extremely strenuous to use such a heavy weapon. Only those who possess divine power would be able to use it freely. Senior, Yao Yu was very surprised. Could there be something special about these 3 items? She stepped forward and tried to pick up the hatchet. So heavy. Although Yao Yu picked up the axe, she was also very surprised. This axe was very heavy, at least a few thousand pounds. It was only 2 feet long, but it was actually so heavy. What's strange? At this time, Zhong Liming also noticed Gu Zhong and Yao Yu's expressions. He bent down and picked up the broken umbrella. Zhong Liming was also very surprised. Is it very heavy? Yao Yu asked. She thought that the broken umbrella would be very heavy. However, Zhong Liming shook his head and said, very light. How can it be so light? It's like air, as if it's not there. How is this possible? Very light. Gu Zhong and Yao Yu were startled. The rusty sword and the axe were extremely heavy, but the broken umbrella was very light. These 3 items were indeed not ordinary. If that person is really the Wine Sword Saint, then these 3 items must have an extraordinary origin. The Iron-Blood Taoist pondered for a while and said, Wine Sword Saint? Who is he? Gu Zhong looked at the Iron-Blood Taoist. What? You haven't even heard of the Wine Sword Saint? The Iron-Blood Taoist exclaimed. Even the 12 bandits were surprised that Gu Zhong didn't know who the Wine Sword Saint was. One should know that there weren't many people who didn't know who the Wine Sword Saint was. The Wine Sword Saint was a supreme existence that once competed with the Golden Sovereign for the position of sovereign. He was widely recognized as the existence closest to the sovereign level. Although the Gold Sovereign had become an utmost exalt in the end, he still greatly admired the Wine Sword Saint. After becoming an utmost exalt, he did not attack the Wine Sword Saint. After listening to the Iron-Blood Taoist's introduction, Gu Zhong realized that the Wine Sword Saint was such a powerful existence. In the end, the rusty sword was taken by Gu Zhong, the axe fell into Yao Yu's hands, and the broken umbrella was taken by Zhong Liming. The Iron-Blood Taoist and the 12 bandits didn't think that there was anything wrong with this. They were Gu Fei's subordinates, while Gu Zhong's group was Gu Fei's disciple. Only old Jiao didn't get anything. However, the 3 items didn't look like much. Although old Jiao didn't get anything, he wasn't dissatisfied. He only wanted the most suitable divine tool for himself. Senior brother, when will Master come out and meet up with us? Yao Yu asked. At this time, everyone began to eat and drink. They were no longer so nervous. I don't know. Master could come out at any time. What we can do now is wait. Also, we need to understand what happened in the past 10 years. Chapter 2179. The night wind was very cold. Bonfires were lit on the ruins of the ancient city. After nightfall, the cultivators in the great wilderness had all returned to this place. The 3rd stage of the ancient road of the human race was definitely not a good place. Some people survived and returned to the ancient city, but there were also people who never returned. Soon, the 12th and 11th brothers of the 12 bandits returned. The 12th and 11th brothers told everyone what they had found out. It turned out that the super forces on Buzhou Ancestral Star were really repairing the ancient road of the human race. Some extremely powerful existences had set foot on the ancient road and repaired the various strongholds in the starry sky. In the past 10 years, the super forces on Buzhou Ancestral Star had sent experts to the depths of the endless starry sky along the ancient road to rebuild strongholds for those who came later. The repair of the ancient road of the human race was definitely not simple. The 3rd stage of the ancient road of the human race was only one of the strongholds that the super forces had repaired. This stronghold was very important because there was actually a self-sealed sacred beast in the great wilderness. A self-sealed sacred beast was more dangerous than a self-proclaimed sage. 10 years ago, The Z siblings and the Golden Goddess had joined forces to scare away the divine ape in the depths of the great wilderness. After the Z siblings and the Golden Goddess left, the experts of the super forces who came later inevitably encountered the divine ape when they arrived at the third stage of the ancient road of the human race. After a great battle, the divine ape retreated to the depths of the great wilderness. However, more than half of the experts from the super forces had died and suffered heavy losses. In the end, they still rebuilt the stronghold and built many pavilions and terraces on the ancient city ruins. In recent years, the divine ape in the depths of the great wilderness had quietened down. Meanwhile, there were more and more cultivators on Bujo Ancestral Star. These people were all experts who wanted to go on the holy road. The cultivators who came to the third stage of the ancient road of the human race had all entered the great wilderness outside the ancient city ruins to hunt powerful wild beasts or to fight endlessly with wild beasts to train themselves. The human race hunted the wild beasts, but the wild beast kings turned around and hunted the human race cultivators. The cruel laws of the great wilderness were playing out here. The Golden Goddess has left, Gu Zhong muttered to himself. Gu Zhong mumbled to himself. The Golden Goddess had already left the third stage of the ancient road of the human race. This caused him to feel somewhat astonished. This Golden Goddess had always wanted to fight against his master, but she never had the chance to do so. The Golden Goddess didn't expect that Gu Fei would cultivate in seclusion for 10 years. Moreover, she didn't know when Gu Fei would come out. She could only continue forward. She wanted to wait for Gu Fei's arrival at the end of this ancient path. Ziyun Xiao and his sister had also appeared. Gu Zhong and the others were all very shocked. Ziyun Xiao and his sister were definitely powerful existences, and were also Gu Fei's opponents. Especially Ziyun Xiao. He had almost died in Gu Fei's hands back then. Ziyun Xiao's skills were not as good as others. Back then, he had lost wholeheartedly, but this time, he had made a comeback and had even brought his little sister. To Gu Fei, this opponent was even stronger. However, Gu Zhong knew that the stronger the opponent, the happier his master would be. Many talented people had embarked on the ancient road of the human race. Among them were people with apex bloodlines, peerless geniuses from the Bujo demon race, and a bald young man from the eastern arrival sacred territory. Some hidden clans had also sent their most outstanding geniuses to embark on the ancient road of the human race. The ancient road of the human race was no longer deserted. What truly shocked Gu Zhong and the others was that a chaos well had appeared in the depths of the great wilderness of the human race's third stage. Many people wanted to know what was inside the chaos well, so they took the risk to enter it. However, everyone who entered the chaos well seemed to have disappeared. No one was able to walk out of the chaos well. Could it be that the Earth Immortal Old Man is looking for master for this matter? Gu Zhong recalled what happened today. Could it be that the Earth Immortal Old Man wanted to join forces with his master to explore the Chaos Well? The Chaos Well was a bottomless well that sucked in and spat out primordial chaos. No one knew where it led to, and the aura of primordial chaos was vast and mighty. The terrain of the divine well was very particular. There was an entrance right in front of the well, and behind it was a huge mountain with a dome that looked like a black tortoise crouching on the ground. Its back was against the black tortoise, and the mountain ridge on the left was like a winding dragon. From afar, it looked like the dragon was about to soar into the sky and transform into a real dragon. On the right of the chaos well was a huge mountain that looked like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain. This kind of terrain was what the geomancers in the mortal world called the green dragon on the left and the white tiger on the right. It didn't seem like it was a coincidence that the chaos well had appeared here. Under the moonlight, a figure silently appeared at the top of the Green Dragon Mountain to the left of the Chaos Well and looked at the Chaos Well. Sigh, I didn't expect to see him. The person standing at the top of the mountain was an old man in black robes with a small purple gourd tied to his waist. This old man was the sloppy old man that Gu Zhong and the others had met. The Iron Blood Taoists suspected that this old man was the legendary Wine Sword Saint. After letting out a sigh, the sloppy old man disappeared without a trace like a gust of wind. Many cultivators were stationed in the area where the Chaos Well was located, but none of them noticed the arrival of the sloppy old man. Meanwhile, Gu Zhong and the others couldn't wait any longer. They left the ancient city ruins under the cover of the night, soared into the sky, and quickly disappeared into the distance. Apart from Gu Fei and the others, there were no more than 10 people who dared to leave the ancient city ruins at night in the entire third stage of the human race's ancient road. Meanwhile, on the floating island above the ancient city ruins, an old man walked into a pavilion. Soon, the old man walked out of the pavilion. Those fellas simply don't know what's good for them. This was the voice that came from the pavilion. Then, there was no more sound. That's the Chaos Well. The place where the Chaos Well appeared wasn't that far from the ancient city ruins, so Gu Zhong and the others quickly arrived at the area near the Chaos Well. They saw a huge stream of chaotic energy rushing out of the valley in the middle of the three mountains. The chaotic energy emitted a terrifying fluctuation. The entire valley was shrouded in a layer of chaotic energy. This seems to be a passageway. The Iron-Blood Taoist voiced his doubts. A passageway. Everyone was shocked to hear this. No one doubted the Iron-Blood Taoist's judgment because his cultivation level was the highest there. Could he have sensed something? Chapter 2180. The Chaos Well was taking in and spitting out the Chaos Chi. It was as though there was a chaotic world evolving within it, giving off a tremendous pressure. Gu Zhong and the others realized that there were quite a number of powerful beings of the human race gathered in the vicinity of the Chaos Well. However, all of them were just observing, and none of them dared to approach the well. Roar! Just as Gu Zhong and the others were about to retreat for the time being, a tiger's roar rang out from the distance. A gigantic tiger with a pair of wings on its back bolted over from the distance. Qiongqi. Upon seeing this tiger, Gu Zhong's eyes immediately lit up. This tiger was the ferocious beast that he had wanted to subdue and make it his mount 10 years ago. This tiger possessed the bloodline of the ancient beast, Qiongqi. Even though the bloodline of the ancient beast was not as pure as it used to be, it was still extremely strong. With a single flap of its wings, it could travel thousands of miles away. Its speed was so fast that it was unimaginable for the both of them. The tiger came to a small hill near the Chaos Well and glared at the Chaos Well before it. It had no intention of entering the well and was just observing from the sidelines. All humans, scram. Otherwise, I'll eat all of you up. The tiger stood at the peak of the small hill and scanned its surroundings. Its eyes shone with a ferocious glint, and its entire body was filled with a murderous aura. Roar! Who do you think you are? You're nothing but a big cat. Someone was unhappy and jumped out, pointing at the big tiger on the small mountain, and said coldly. The tiger did not reply. With a jerk of its head, it opened its mouth wide and tried to devour that human. A heaven-devouring power rippled out. What? That human was taken aback. He had not expected this tiger to be this domineering and strike out just like that. His entire body flew up into the air and flew towards the mouth of the tiger. Without any suspense, the human cultivator was directly swallowed into the tiger's stomach. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked beyond words. To think that this tiger could devour a powerful being of the human race in a single gulp, that was a cultivation state that was extremely frightening. Scram! The tiger roared angrily and scanned its surroundings. No one dared to make eye contact with this tiger. When the tiger's gaze swept over, many of them retracted their gazes, not wanting to offend this tiger. How majestic! Just as Dahu was about to display his might, a voice suddenly sounded. Who's tired of living? Dahu widened his eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a dozen or so human cultivators standing on a mountain not too far away. Kill! Without any hesitation, without even seeing who it was, the tiger leaped from the hill and pounced towards the top of the hill. Humph! A cold snort sounded from the top of the mountain, and a figure walked out from the crowd. It's you. Just as the tiger was about to pounce on the top of the mountain, it saw that person. It immediately roared and soared into the sky, hiding far away. Ha 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 ha, big cat, come, I'll let you eat. Gu Zhong soared into the sky and closed in on Dahu. That gigantic tiger was beyond astounded. Not in a million years would it have thought that this human would appear once more. Not only that, His cultivation state seemed to have risen by quite a bit as well. The moment they heard Gu Zhong call that gigantic tiger Big Cat, everyone was taken aback. One had to know that this tiger was a ruthless character. The moment it appeared, it wanted to clear the entire place. Turning around, the tiger left immediately. This human was not to be trifled with. The moment everyone caught sight of this, they were dumbfounded. To think that the beast would retreat just like that. It was as though it was scared off by that human. Who in the world could scare off a beast like that? Heis, Big Cat, don't go. We should sit down and talk about life and reason. As Gu Zhong said that, he deployed his 8 steps extreme speed and closed in on that gigantic tiger. Sure. Looking at how Gu Zhong had caught up to it, the tiger could not help but be startled. Flapping its wings with all its might, it bolted forward and flew 1,000 miles away. Where do you think you're going? Gu Zhong used the 8 desolation steps. Each time he took a step, a Dao pattern would appear beneath his feet. The void before him seemed as though it was being folded up as he traversed through it. Very quickly, the 2 figures disappeared into the horizon. This, on top of the short mountain, Yao Yu, the iron-blood Taoist, and the rest were startled. Gu Zhong actually chased after that gigantic tiger? Could it be that he had not given up and wanted to tame this beast? It wasn't a secret that Gu Zhong wanted to subdue a powerful creature and make it his mount. Yao Yu and the rest set up camp on top of the short mountain. They had to pay close attention to the chaos while that was breathing out chaotic qi. Rumble. Just as they settled down, a series of thunderous sounds came from afar. Following that, a gigantic object appeared in everyone's vision. Everyone was incomparably shocked. That fella still loves to show off. The iron-blood Taoist sneered. Far in the sky, a divine island was rushing towards the chaos well. Very quickly, a divine island appeared in the middle of the mountain. The people from the South Pole Immortal Manor had arrived. That Earth Immortal Old actually moved the levitating island here. Someone recognized the divine island. It was the master of the South Pole Immortal Manor, the younger brother of the South Pole Immortal Sovereign. Earth Immortal Old's arrival had greatly increased the strength of the human race. Some of the nearby savage beasts had no choice but to retreat further away. Bang, 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 bang. At this time, heavy footsteps came from afar. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw an incomparably tall figure appear in the mountains. It was a divine ape even taller than a mountain. The mountains around it only reached its waist. This was definitely a behemoth, a saint-level savage beast. Even the iron-blood Taoist's expression changed when he sensed the powerful aura coming from the divine ape. He didn't expect to encounter a saint-level savage beast in such a situation. The divine ape stopped 12 miles away from the chaos well. It was also apprehensive and didn't want to approach the chaos well carelessly. Bang! When the divine ape saw the island in the sky, it threw a punch at the island. It was extremely ferocious, as if it wanted to blow up the island. Huge claws covered the entire sky. The divine ape was incomparably powerful. Bzzz. When the huge claws were about to hit the divine island, the sky suddenly trembled. Countless runes rushed out of the divine island, interweaving into mysterious and ancient patterns. Boom! Chapter 2181. The levitating island was no ordinary island. It was a divine item personally refined by the South Pole Celestial Reverend. The South Pole Celestial Reverend was a ruthless man in ancient times. Although the great desolate divine ape was extremely powerful and it was an existence that had sealed its cultivation base and realm, its attack could not shake the island in the sky. A sacred grade formation. The great desolate divine ape was shocked. If it could remove the seal on itself, it might be able to break the seal that was covering the entire island. However, the great desolate divine ape knew very well that it was impossible for it to break the sage class formation and destroy the island in the sky in its current state. The great desolate divine ape did not attack again, which made the cultivators on the island heave a sigh of relief. Old ape, do you want to fight? The Earth Immortal Old Man's voice came from the island. Humph, cowardly old turtle, Come out and fight me if you dare." The great desolate divine ape spoke in human language. In recent years, it had interacted with the earth immortal old man many times. There was no need for it to be afraid of this old man. The one that the great desolate divine ape was afraid of was the expert behind the earth immortal old man. The great desolate divine ape knew the background of the earth immortal old man. The South Pole celestial reverend was too famous on Bujo ancestral star. The earth immortal old man represented the South Pole celestial abode. Boom! At this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot out from the island and struck at the great desolate divine ape. Wherever the lightning passed, the void was directly torn apart. Just as the lightning struck, a layer of light suddenly appeared on the great desolate celestial ape's body. The lightning struck the layer of light. The light shield on the great desolate divine ape's body vibrated and blocked the lightning. "Old turtle, you still don't dare to come out? Then you can hide in there for the rest of your life." The great desolate divine ape stared at the island in the sky and said coldly. Murderous aura emanated from its body. It was obvious that it wanted to kill the earth immortal old man. Although the powerful great desolate divine ape was afraid of the person behind the earth immortal old man, it would still kill the earth immortal old man if he provoked it. Rumble. Lightning kept appearing on the heavenly divine island. Huge bolts of lightning as big as mountains fell from the heavenly divine island, bombarding towards the great desolate divine ape. It was like a punishment from the heavens. The destructive power spread out in the world. "You old turtle, are you done yet?" The great desolate celestial ape was enraged. He grabbed a mountain beside him and smashed it towards the island in the sky. Boom! The huge mountain exploded in the sky. It was smashed into pieces by the lightning that came from the divine island. Dust flew everywhere and rocks flew everywhere. The mountain was in chaos. So powerful. When some people saw this scene, they started to retreat into the distance. If Master was here, Yao Yu thought of Gu Fei. That old ape was extremely powerful, and there was the aura of the divine path lingering around him. Even though she was very far away, she still felt suffocated. Perhaps only Gu Fei could fight against such a powerful being. However, Gu Fei had not come out of his inner world yet. At this time, the earth immortal old man gradually stopped attacking the great desolate divine ape. Because unless his brother, the South Pole immortal Venerable, came, no one could fight against this old ape. Although the great wilderness celestial ape had sealed its sage-level cultivation and power, its physical body was a genuine sage-level body. "Clear the area. Scram if you don't want to die." The great desolate divine ape's voice was heard by every living being in the surrounding area. It was extremely domineering and wanted to monopolize the chaos well. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. They knew that this divine ape was the strongest saint beast in the great wilderness and had ruled the great wilderness for countless years. If the great desolate divine ape decided to go all out, the consequences would be dire. Therefore, all living beings started to retreat, including Yao Yu and the others. Nobody doubted the great desolate divine ape's ability. It was powerful enough to defeat everyone. That is, at this moment, the great desolate divine ape suddenly stared at Old Dragon. Then, the great desolate divine ape stepped forward and stopped Yao Yu and the others. A real dragon. The great desolate divine ape stared at Old Dragon, surprised that it could see a real dragon. "Greetings, Senior." Old Dragon hurriedly bowed to the great desolate divine ape. Hee. The great desolate divine ape didn't say anything. It extended its hand and tried to grab Old Dragon. Whoosh! Old Dragon felt something was wrong. He hurriedly performed his 8-step speed and took a step to the side, dodging the great desolate divine ape's attack. What? The great desolate divine ape was startled. It was surprised that the real dragon could dodge its attack. How did it do that? Could it be because of that footwork? "Let me eat it so you don't have to suffer." The great desolate divine ape's eyes emitted a fearsome light as it spoke coldly. The blood of a real dragon was a rare treasure to every cultivator. In the ancient times, many almighties used the blood of a real dragon to create many heaven-defying spiritual medicines. Even if they directly devoured the blood of a real dragon, it could still increase the cultivator's cultivation base and power. You want to eat me? Old Dragon was shocked. This guy really didn't have any good intentions. Humph, do you know whose disciple he is? How dare you touch him? At this time, the iron-blood Taoist stepped forward and said to the great desolate divine ape, "Little ant, you have no right to speak." Scram. The great desolate divine ape swept at the iron-blood Taoist, sending him flying. He spat out blood and smashed into a mountain 100 miles away. Yao Yu and the others were shocked. The iron-blood Taoist, who was a demi-sage, was injured so easily. This divine ape was too strong. No one could fight against it. What is this old ape trying to do? At this time, a white-haired old man on the divine island noticed the great desolate divine ape's actions. Lu Xianwang didn't interfere. The great desolate divine ape was targeting Gu Fei's disciple. This was going to be a good show. I don't care whose disciple you are. I will eat you today. After saying that, the great desolate divine ape's huge body shrunk rapidly. In the end, it became half a head taller than a normal person. As he spoke, old Jiao had already crushed a jade talisman in his hand. Humph, you want to call your master to save you? If he dares to come, I will eat him as well. The great desolate divine ape was arrogant and arrogant. In front of these ants, it was a god that could control their life and death. Is that so? I want to see how you will eat me. With a clanging sound, they wrapped around Gu Fei. Hey! Gu Fei also extended his right hand and punched forward. Clang! The incomparably powerful fist energy collided with the 5 divine chains. The 5 divine chains seemed to have collided with an invisible wall and were all sent flying. The great desolate divine ape was clearly taken aback. He had never expected that such a weak ant would be able to withstand his attack. One must know that any existence below the saint rank would not be able to resist his attack. Rumble. After Gu Fei's fist force broke through the divine technique of the great barren divine ape, its power continued to increase. The void let out a rumbling sound like muffled thunder. What? This time, the great desolate god ape was truly shocked. Just as the great desolate god ape was stunned, the speed of Gu Fei's fist suddenly increased. The power of the entire fist was at its strongest state. The great desolate god ape was shocked. At this moment, it wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Pong! Gu Fei's fist fiercely hit the great desolate divine ape's nose. A string of blood immediately spurted out, and the ape was sent flying. Roar! The great desolate god ape roared. He was sent flying by a puny human. This was unbelievable. At the same time, he was furious. The great desolate god ape stopped retreating. You have angered me. Very well. The great desolate god ape laughed out of anger. Terrifying vibrations exploded from his body and mysterious Tao patterns appeared. Among the countless Tao patterns, 9 of them were the brightest. Seeing this, Gu Fei was shocked. This holy beast was not simple. He had cultivated 9 Tao patterns. Was he going to imitate human emperor and seal himself with 9 Tao patterns? Sealing himself with 9 Tao patterns could help him avoid the destructive power that was above the way of heaven and earth. It would allow a saint-level being to display the power of a saint-level being. However, the great desolate god ape obviously did not have the cultivation of human emperor. They were not at the same level. It was hard for him to seal himself and remove the seal. I don't care if you are angry or not. Gu Fei took a step forward and got close to the great desolate god ape. At this moment, strong Tao patterns appeared on Gu Fei's body. He punched again. This time, Gu Fei's fist was covered with Tao patterns, and he had activated the power of Great Path. Boom! The great desolate god ape was extremely arrogant. He also punched and clashed with Gu Fei. He wanted to overwhelm Gu Fei, who was a weak human, with his physical body. The physical body of a holy beast was much stronger than that of a human, especially a holy beast that had become a saint. Its physical body was unimaginably strong. Very strong. Gu Fei felt as if his fist had struck a piece of indestructible divine metal. Even his bones felt as if they were about to shatter. This made him very shocked. He was very close to that level. His martial body was also transforming into a holy body. It could even be said that his martial body had transformed to the point where it was only a step away from becoming a real holy body. Moreover, after 10 years of meditation, Gu Fei thought that he could compete with a divine implement. However, he realized just how strong a real holy body was. At the very least, the physical body of this great desolate god ape was stronger than his. Gu Fei was sent flying backward. The power that was transmitted through his right fist was way too strong. It sent him flying dozens of miles away. The entire sleeve of his arm was ripped apart, revealing that muscular arm of his. Roar! Gu Fei jerked his right arm. The power that had invaded his arm was forced out immediately. At the same time, the great desolate god ape wasn't feeling too good either. The power of that punch from Gu Fei had sent him flying as well. There was a numbing sensation on his arm. How could the physical body of a human be this strong? The great desolate god ape was shocked to the max. To think that this human could take a punch from him and not die. And to think that this human wasn't even a saint. Could this human be the successor of that legendary being? Chapter 2183. The great desolate god ape was extremely shocked. To think that the physical body state of a human would be strong enough to fight against him. This was the first time he had come across something like this, especially since this human had yet to turn into a true saint. In other words, to think that a human who wasn't even a saint would possess a physique that was as strong as a saint's. Even in the ancient times where powerful beings were everywhere, an existence like this was extremely rare. Even when the supreme beings were young, they wouldn't have been able to match up to him. To think that this human would be able to fight against a young supreme being. The great desolate god ape was shocked by this thought of his. This wasn't a good thing for him at all. With an opponent as such, he wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Strong opponents should be eliminated while they were still budding. The killing intent of the great desolate god ape was extremely strong. The temperature around him was dropping rapidly. Kill. The great desolate god ape headed towards Gu Fei. Step by step, every single step he took caused the entire world to tremble. An extremely strong aura spread out from his body. This, Yao Yu and the others, who had long retreated far into the sky, were extremely shocked. This strong aura of a saint was unbearable for them. They had no choice but to retreat again and again until they were thousands of miles away. What's going on? Just then, Gu Zhong rushed over from the distance. He did not subdue that tiger. The moment he sensed the aura of Gu Fei, he rushed back immediately. Nothing much. This old monkey wants to eat our master. Yao Yu said. What? The moment Gu Zhong heard this, his mouth opened wide. He was extremely shocked. This old monkey must have eaten the guts of a leopard. To think that he would dare to eat his master. Gu Fei's strength was something that no one knew better than Gu Zhong. Right now, Gu Fei was extremely close to becoming a saint. His physique was so strong that he could even fight against a Khanate god beast. Khanate god beast. That was a god beast that was born from chaos and was extremely strong. The moment it was born, the weather would change and it could even hunt down immortals and gods. This old monkey is courting death, Gu Zhong said. At this moment, Gu Fei and the great desolate god ape clashed once more. Waving their hands, Tao patterns shot out from the hands of these two powerful beings. Turning into destructive powers, they struck out at the other party. You are very strong, but unfortunately, you met me. The great desolate divine ape's body was surrounded by Tao patterns and a powerful sage aura was spreading out. Around his body, pitch-black space cracks kept appearing. It was as if this part of the world could no longer contain the extremely powerful physical body of the divine ape. With just a lift of its hand, the divine ape could shatter the void and tear the world apart. This was the sacred body, the true sacred body. Its power was far beyond everyone's expectations. Even if it did not use the power of the Great Way, the great desolate divine ape could kill all opponents below the sage level with its physical strength alone. Boom! The great desolate divine ape punched out. The space in front of his fist shattered instantly, turning into a destructive storm that swept towards Gu Fei. Roar! Gu Fei bellowed, and a shocking power erupted from his body. The void around him was like a transparent wave, with ripples spreading out in all directions. Chaotic Fist. Gu Fei displayed his strongest combat skill and threw out a chaotic fist. The ferocious chaotic energy turned into a torrent, heading towards the destructive power. V-Room. Two powerful forces collided with each other. Two fists also collided with each other. An extremely powerful force exploded, causing the void to tremble. Boom. When the two forces exploded, Gu Fei was forced to take a dozen steps back. Many cracks appeared on his right fist and blood seeped out from them. As for the great desolate divine ape, he only took 5 to 6 steps back. From this, it could be seen that the great desolate divine ape's physical body was still slightly stronger than Gu Fei's martial body. I can't let you live. The great desolate divine ape flipped his right hand, and a long rod appeared in his hand. It was a 6-zhang long bronze rod. The moment the divine ape held the rod, there were faint Tao patterns appearing on the bronze rod. Who? The great desolate divine ape raised the rod and smashed it towards Gu Fei's head. Wherever the rod passed, the void would ripple. Even an immortal Venerable would be badly injured if he was hit by the rod. Swoosh! Gu Fei took a step to the side and disappeared in an instant. The staff hit nothing but empty air. It didn't seem to be affected by any force at all. Die! Gu Fei used his right hand to slash at the great desolate divine ape's neck. There were flickering Tao patterns on his palm. The edge of his palm was even sharper than divine weapons. This slash was extremely fast. However, the great desolate divine ape wasn't one to be trifled with. Just as Gu Fei's palm was about to hit the great desolate divine ape's neck, the great desolate divine ape moved sideways and dodged the attack. Who? The great desolate divine ape swung the bronze rod towards Gu Fei's waist. A powerful gust of wind swept across, uprooting the trees on the ground and tossing them into the sky. Gu Fei executed the 8 desolation steps and soared into the sky, dodging the attack. Then, he took a step towards the great desolate divine ape. An extremely violent force was generated under his feet. This was the 8 steps 8 kill technique. Humph! The great desolate divine ape harumphed coldly. He then raised the bronze rod in his hand and thrust it towards the bottom of Gu Fei's right foot, trying to pierce through Gu Fei's right leg. Bam! Gu Fei's foot landed on the bronze rod. The powerful force caused the great desolate divine ape's hands to go numb. He couldn't even hold the bronze rod anymore. Eat another one of my kicks, Gu Fei yelled. At this moment, his left leg had already executed the second step of the 8 kill steps. A destructive force surged and black lightning appeared under his feet. The great desolate divine ape's expression changed. This person was hard to deal with. No wonder this bunch of people didn't seem to be afraid of anything when they met him. Even now, they were still the same. It turned out that this group of people actually had such a powerful human behind them. Boom! A loud sound rang out. The great desolate divine ape was stomped down from the sky by Gu Fei's foot. Like a meteorite, it smashed onto the ground, creating a huge crater. Roar! The great desolate divine ape was about to go crazy. He roared into the sky. To think that he would be suppressed by a human who wasn't even a saint. This was something that he couldn't accept. You deserve to die. The great desolate divine ape rushed out from the crater on the ground. His eyes shone with a murderous light. Both of his hands moved in front of him, and 9 Tao patterns appeared around him. Suppress. Chapter 2184. The great desolate deity ape struck out forcefully. 9 primordial Tao patterns shot out from both of his hands. Every single Tao pattern radiated with a dazzling light, causing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to gather over. This was the skill of a sacred beast. It had already cultivated its own 9 Tao patterns. Of course, the great desolate deity ape's attainments in the 9 Tao patterns were far from human Emperor Jiangxian's. Otherwise, the great desolate deity ape could have killed Gu Fei countless times with a single strike. The 9 Tao patterns shot towards Gu Fei, locking down the space where Gu Fei was at. The entire space instantly turned into an invisible cage, sealing off all of Gu Fei's escape routes. The 9 Tao patterns imprinted themselves on the space around Gu Fei, forming a destructive force that struck towards Gu Fei from all directions. The space was being destroyed silently. It was extremely terrifying. Humph! Gu Fei laughed coldly. His body jerked and 9 primordial Tao patterns shot out from his body. The 9 primordial Tao patterns imprinted themselves around his body, blocking off the destructive force. This is the great desolate deity Ape's face turned extremely solemn. To think that his opponent had also comprehended 9 primordial Tao patterns. However, what shocked him the most was that his opponent had yet to become a saint. Of course, his 9 Tao patterns had yet to take form. However, he was probably not far from it. The 9 primordial Tao patterns were very clear and contained a strong aura of the Saint Tao. Since your understanding of the Tao is so deep, all the more reason why I can't let you live. The great desolate deity Ape could sense immense pressure from Gu Fei. He could tell that this human had immense potential. If he were to let him grow, it would definitely not be a good thing for the great desolate deity Ape. Trying to kill me? Do you think that you are a golden spirit ape? Gu Fei said coldly. The 9 primordial Tao patterns around him blocked off all the destructive force. Even someone as strong as the great desolate deity Ape couldn't do anything to him in a short period of time. There are no more golden spirit apes in the human world. There is only me, the Tongbi divine ape. As the great desolate divine ape spoke, the power of the great path emanating from the 9 Tao patterns became even stronger. The void that was sealed by the 9 Tao patterns of the great desolate divine ape looked as though a chaotic world was evolving. The Tongbi divine ape was one of the 4 great apes. Its bloodline was heaven-defying, especially the Tongbi divine ape. A complete Tongbi divine ape could take the sun and the moon, shrink mountains, and possess unparalleled skills. The great desolate deity ape wasn't a pure-blooded Tongbi divine ape either. He was merely a descendant of the Tongbi ape. If this great desolate deity ape was a pure-blooded divine ape, then Gu ape would definitely be. Just like the Tongbi divine ape, the golden spiritual ape was also a powerful innate being born from the primordial chaos. However, only the golden spiritual ape lineage had produced a paragon. Divine ape deity, divine ape race's deity even. But spirit ape of a desolate deity beast. Was. At this moment, the great desolate divine ape unleashed its full power. It wanted to use the 9 primordial Tao patterns to destroy Gu Chong and destroy his body and soul. However, Gu Fei wasn't an ordinary great completion quasi-saint. He was a powerful existence that was infinitely close to the saint level. He had also comprehended 9 Taoist patterns. Although the 9 Taoist patterns weren't fully formed, the energy ripples that were released from the 9 Taoist patterns were comparable to the 9 Taoist patterns of the great desolate divine ape. Is the Tongbi divine ape very powerful? Never heard of it. Gu Fei shook his head in disdain. The great desolate divine ape was infuriated. This guy was too hateful and deserved to die. Kill. The 9 Tao patterns shot out by the great desolate god ape shone with dazzling light. They gathered the power of the great Tao and suppressed everything, forcing Gu Fei's 9 Tao patterns to retreat. Just as the great desolate divine ape thought that its opponent was about to be crushed to death, the opponent snorted coldly and revealed a cruel smile. This is bad. The great desolate divine ape sensed that something was amiss. Just at this moment, Gu Fei's body suddenly exploded with a peerless energy ripple. Boom! Boundless chaotic true force exploded from within Gu Fei's body like a volcano erupting. It was unstoppable, and the 9 Taoist patterns shone with the brightest light. The power from Gu Fei's 9 Taoist patterns instantly increased by more than 10 folds. The great desolate divine ape's 9 Taoist patterns couldn't suppress such a violent power. The great desolate divine ape's 9 Taoist patterns were blown away. He suffered a huge impact as he coughed out a mouthful of blood and staggered back 7 to 8 steps. What's going on? How is this possible? The great desolate divine ape's shock was no small matter. The other party's body had actually erupted with such a power, which was at least 10 times stronger than the other party's original power. What kind of secret technique was this? It could actually raise this guy's strength to such a level. The great desolate divine ape was shocked to the extreme. The opponent's body exploded with such a violent power that it was blown away. This was definitely something unimaginable. The great desolate divine ape, who possessed a saint physique, was blown away by an ant. This made the great desolate divine ape extremely angry. It couldn't accept this reality. Didn't you want to eat me? Gu Fei's voice was emotionless. It was so calm that it made one's heart palpitate. He took a step forward and chased after the great desolate divine ape.
Pong.
Gotcha! Gu Fei's fist blossomed with Taoist patterns as it landed on the great desolate divine ape's chest. The sound of bones breaking could be heard from the great desolate divine ape's body. Even with a saint physique, it was still injured by Gu Fei's punch. A fist mark was left on the great desolate divine ape's chest. The fist mark had sunk deep into the muscles, and there were vague Taoist patterns on the fist mark. Damned ant! After being hit by Gu Fei's punch, the great desolate divine ape was sent flying hundreds of thousands of zhang away like a divine rainbow, smashing into a mountain peak. Rumble! The mountain collapsed and the earth shook. At the same time, a torrential purple qi rushed out of the dust. Within the purple qi, an incomparably huge image of a divine ape appeared. Within the purple qi, the giant ape roared at the sky. Around the giant ape, there seemed to be countless stars falling. Gu Fei couldn't help being startled. He knew that this was a kind of illusion formed by the great desolate divine ape's bloodline power. The giant ape in the middle of the monstrous purple aura should be the legendary Tongbi divine ape, one of the 4 divine apes of ancient times. It seems that this divine ape's supreme divine ability to take the sun and the moon and shrink 1,000 mountains is not a lie. It's even more powerful. Chapter 2185. Gu Fei was unstoppable as he sent the great desolate celestial ape flying with a single punch. Roar! The great desolate celestial ape roared in anger. Its powerful aura spread in all directions. All the strong living beings nearby retreated quickly. All of them could feel the danger. As the descendant of the long by celestial ape, the great desolate celestial ape's bloodline was no longer pure. However, it was still terrifying. Kill! Purple qi filled the air. The great desolate celestial ape unlocked the first layer of seal on its body. A strong sealing energy exploded from its body. Within the purple qi, one could vaguely see the legendary long by celestial ape. The bloodline of the great desolate celestial ape was extremely strong. The bloodline power within the great desolate celestial ape had been activated. It was the bloodline power of the legends that reappeared on the great desolate celestial ape. That was why the purple qi appeared. Rumble! A giant hand reached out from the endless purple qi. It covered the entire sky and sealed the space, trapping Gu Fei underneath it. On the giant hand, Tao patterns were faintly visible, emitting an extremely strong aura. Gu Fei immediately punched upwards. His entire right fist was covered in a vast and mighty chaotic aura. Streaks of chaotic Tao patterns appeared on his fist as he activated the power of the Great Path. Boom! With a loud bang, Gu Fei's fist collided with the huge hand that was grabbing down from the sky. Countless Tao patterns dissipated in the void and vanished. The great desolate celestial ape's attack had the power to take down the sun and moon. However, it was blocked by Gu Fei. Shwa! The space in front of Gu Fei suddenly twisted. A silhouette appeared out of nowhere. A sharp claw was aimed at Gu Fei's heart. So fast, Gu Fei's shock was no small matter. A soft sound rang out. Even though Gu Fei's reaction was fast enough, the clothes on his chest were torn apart, leaving 5 bloody wounds on his chest that were oozing blood. Gu Fei used the 8 desolate steps and moved quickly in the air. However, the divine ape followed him like a shadow, moving at a speed that was not inferior to Gu Fei. Little ant, you've angered me. The great desolate god ape's voice was cold and filled with killing intent. After unlocking the first layer of the seal on his body, his speed and power had reached a certain limit. Hey! Another soft sound rang out. The great desolate godly ape's sharp claws swept past Gu Fei's shoulder, directly tearing off a large piece of his clothes, causing Gu Fei to be incomparably shocked. Chaotic rebellion. Gu Fei roared and suddenly stopped. Then, a strange energy spread out from his body, causing visible ripples to appear in the space around him. Shwa! The great desolate divine ape's sharp claws directly pierced into the layer of distorted space around Gu Fei. Then, his right claw seemed to be reversed in an instant as it clawed towards Gu Fei. What? Seeing this, the great desolate divine ape was taken aback. To think that his opponent could reverse his attack. This was unbelievable. To think that such a heaven-defying secret technique existed in this world. The 9 secrets of immortal Tao had been incomplete since the ancient times. Even the immortal reverends of Taoism couldn't master the complete 9 secrets. The moment his attack was reversed, the great desolate divine ape's hair stood on end. His scalp went numb as he felt a great sense of danger. Gu Fei took a step forward and punched towards the great desolate divine ape. Just as the great desolate divine ape was about to dodge, he felt an extremely powerful energy wave behind him. Boom! An extremely violent energy was released. An incomparably powerful figure appeared behind the great desolate divine ape out of nowhere and punched towards the great desolate divine ape as well. How is this possible? The great desolate divine ape was shocked. He could feel that the energy wave behind him was exactly the same as Gu Fei's energy wave. It was as though there were 2 Gu Feis attacking the great desolate divine ape at the same time. Rumble. Just as the great desolate celestial ape was in disbelief, the void above its head suddenly vibrated. It raised its head, and its pupils shrank. Suddenly, another Gu Fei had appeared in the sky. This Gu Fei was currently stomping down on him. Destructive energy surged beneath his feet. 3. The great desolate divine ape was dumbfounded. There were actually 3 Gu Feis. Could this human really have obtained the secret technique created by that legendary man? Without any suspense, under the full force of the 3 Gu Feis, the great desolate divine ape was sent flying while spitting out blood. How is this possible? The secret technique displayed by the other party was way too shocking. The great desolate divine ape was in disbelief. At this time, the Earth Immortal Elder who was watching the battle was also shocked to the extreme. Could it be that Gu Fei had really mastered the legendary supreme technique? The demonic old man couldn't be compared to the great desolate divine ape. One must know that the South Pole Immortal Manor was a legacy of the Immortal Tao. No one knew the 9 secrets of the Immortal Tao better than them. The secret technique that Gu Fei had just displayed should be the legendary 3 pure ones. And Gu Fei's battle prowess had suddenly increased by more than 10 times. This should be the result of him using the Heaven Ascension secret technique. This was way too shocking. To think that 2 of the 9 secrets of the Immortal Tao would appear on a single person. The battle between Gu Fei and the great desolate divine ape had shaken many people. Who is that man fighting the great desolate divine ape? Someone whispered, "That man looks familiar. But I can't recall where I've seen him before." Someone seemed to have seen Gu Fei before. This was not surprising, as Gu Fei had made a name for himself on Ancestral Star Buzhou. Few cultivators on Ancestral Star Buzhou did not know of his existence. Kill. Gu Fei displayed the Heaven Ascension secret technique and transformed into the 3 pure ones. The 3 Tao bodies emitted peerless waves of energy as they charged at the great desolate divine ape. Without any suspense, the great desolate divine ape was completely suppressed by Gu Fei. In the end, Gu Fei tore off its left arm and fled into the chaos well. Only one arm, but it's not bad. After Gu Fei defeated the great desolate divine ape, the sacred beast with the sacred body had to flee into the chaos well at the last moment. However, Gu Fei was not in a hurry to chase after the great desolate divine ape. He took out a huge cauldron, started a fire, and threw the arm of the great desolate divine ape into the cauldron to cook. That was a sacred body, and the arm contained a powerful sacred divine essence. It was definitely a rare medicine. Gu Fei would not waste it, as it would be of great benefit to him. The bloodline of the innate divine beasts born from the chaos was extremely powerful. Every few generations, the descendants of these divine beasts would show signs of atavism. The shadow of the purple godly ape quickly dissipated, turning into specks of pure energy that fell into the cauldron. Everyone was dumbfounded. This cauldron's precious liquid was definitely extraordinary. Other than Gu Zhong and the others, even the human race cultivators in the distance were extremely jealous. However, no one dared to act rashly. It should be known that even the overlord of the wasteland, the great desolate godly ape, was no match for that person. No one dared to joke around with their lives. 6 hours later, the divine fire below the cauldron began to extinguish. The cauldron flickered with divine light, as if it was nurturing a huge life. This cauldron of precious medicine was truly astonishing. Tao patterns appeared on the mouth of the cauldron from time to time. Those were the most primitive Tao patterns formed by the vast spiritual energy within the cauldron. Done. Gu Fei, who was sitting in front of the cauldron, stood up. Master, Gu Zhong, Yao Yu, and old Jiao rushed up immediately. Master, the Iron Blood Taoist and the 12 bandits hurried over as well. Even he was jealous of this cauldron of precious medicine. It should be known that this medicine was made from the spring water of the divine spring of life and the flesh and blood of divine beasts. If an ordinary cultivator were to obtain a single drop of it, they would be able to undergo a complete transformation. Come, all of you will have a share. Gu Fei greeted everyone. Of course, he was referring to Gu Zhong and the 12 bandits. As for the outsiders, they could only watch from afar and couldn't get close. This cauldron of precious medicine was prepared by Gu Fei for everyone. At his level of cultivation, precious medicine was no longer of any use to him. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Gu Zhong and the others were extremely excited. Then, Gu Zhong impatiently reached his head into the cauldron and drank a large mouthful of the precious liquid. It was a type of purple liquid that was flowing with spiritual light. Wow! After drinking a large mouthful of the precious liquid, Gu Zhong immediately jumped up and spat out a cloud of purple light. Then, his entire body began to emit a purple spiritual light. An enormous amount of psionic energy spread out in his body, making him feel as if his entire body was expanding at a rapid pace. The medicinal effect is too strong. Gu Zhong couldn't care so much. He directly sat on the ground and activated his mysterious technique to refine the spiritual energy that was still increasing in his body. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but be surprised and happy. The medicinal effect of the precious liquid was indeed extraordinary. Even Gu Zhong, a seventh heaven almighty emperor, couldn't take it after drinking a mouthful. Gu Zhong's martial body had been tempered by the sacred blood and was extremely powerful. That was why his body did not explode from the newly born spiritual energy in his body. If it was an ordinary cultivator at the seventh firmament, their body would have long exploded from the energy of the precious liquid. Their body and soul would have been destroyed. Seeing that Gu Zhong's entire body was steaming, everyone couldn't help but be cautious. One must know that among everyone present, only the Iron Blood Taoist's immortal phoenix body could be compared to Gu Zhong's martial body. The physical bodies of the others couldn't compare to those two. Yao Yu and Zhong Liming only dared to drink a few drops of the precious liquid before activating their mysterious technique to refine the new spiritual energy in their bodies. Only the Iron Blood Taoist drank 2 mouthfuls of the precious liquid and retreated to the side to refine the medicinal effect in his body. In an instant, there were more than 10 people sitting around the large cauldron with purple aura faintly surrounding them. The other human clan cultivators in the distance were all extremely envious. The precious liquid in the cauldron was definitely a priceless treasure. Although the medicinal effect of the precious liquid in the cauldron was not as good as the legendary immortal divine medicine, it was still enough to shock the world. This was because the precious liquid in the cauldron was brewed from the flesh and blood of holy beasts. Gu Fei's disciples were undoubtedly extremely lucky. They met a master like Gu Fei who could obtain divine blood for them to temper their martial bodies. He could also obtain the flesh and blood of holy beasts to boil into the precious liquid for them to consume. Gu Zhong, Yao Yu, Old Jiao, and the others were able to improve their cultivation level in such a short period of time. Half of it was the result of their hard work, and the other half was the result of Gu Fei providing them with a large amount of cultivation resources. The power of the phoenix of immortality was faintly discernible on his body, and the red Tao patterns around him kept vanishing. He had already realized his own Tao pattern, and it was a red flame Tao pattern. The Iron Blood Taoist was already a great completion quasi-sage. With just one more step, he would be able to reach that realm. However, no one dared to do so in this day and age. Other than the Iron Blood Taoist, the leader of the 12 Great Bandits, Zhuge Liang, also had Tao patterns appearing on his body. He was evolving his own great Tao divine patterns. As for Gu Zhong, the sound of wind and thunder rang out from his body. The blood and qi in his body were vast and mighty. The huge amount of spiritual energy from the medicinal herbs was continuously refined by him into his muscles, bones, flesh, and blood. Golden Tao patterns were imprinted on Gu Zhong's muscles, bones, flesh, and blood. Boundless metal elemental power was surging. Gu Zhong's martial body was the metal elemental martial body of the 5 elements. At this time, as the medicinal herbs continued to be refined, the purple qi on his body gradually weakened, and the golden divine light began to appear. A powerful aura emanated from Gu Zhong's body. This kid did not disappoint me. Gu Fei couldn't help but nod when he saw what was happening to Gu Zhong's body. Gu Zhong's cultivation speed was much faster than his own back then. Of course, such a gap was not strange at all. It wasn't that Gu Zhong's talent was better than Gu Fei's. To a large extent, the reason why Gu Zhong could have his current cultivation and power was because of Gu Fei's support. Gu Fei provided countless cultivation resources for his 3 disciples. One day and one night passed. Many figures sat cross-legged around the cauldron, and each of them emitted an extremely powerful aura. Boom! At this time, Gu Zhong's body emitted an endless golden light. His entire body instantly turned into a dazzling golden sun, making it hard for people to look at him directly. He broke through. Gu Fei had been paying attention to everyone's movements. Almighty 8th Heaven, I finally succeeded. Gu Zhong opened his eyes and took a step forward, instantly disappearing from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already 100 miles away. The people who had been watching from afar were extremely shocked. The waves emitted from Gu Zhong's body were too powerful. The blood in his body flowed rapidly, emitting rumbling sounds. Rumble. When Gu Zhong rushed into the depths of the mountain, the sky rumbled with thunder. Dark clouds of calamity surged up from where Gu Zhong was. How is this possible? He actually triggered the heavens' retribution. Everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded. This guy had only broken through a small realm, but he could actually trigger the heavens' retribution. Roar. At the same time, Tao patterns also rushed out of the old dragon's body. He roared and flew into the depths of the mountain, where he began to undergo the heavens' retribution. With the help of the elixir, he finally broke through the limit, broke through the shackles, and successfully broke through to the half-saint realm. The half-saint retribution was incomparably vast. The old dragon's roar came from the depths of the mountain. The entire heaven and earth felt incomparably oppressive, as if a mountain was pressing down on their hearts. No one dared to watch this great heaven's retribution. If they were not careful, they might be contaminated by the power of the retribution. That would be a tragedy. With the help of the elixir, some of the 12 bandits also broke through the shackles of cultivation and became extremely powerful. The cultivation and strength of Gu Fei's subordinates were increasing rapidly. To Gu Fei, this was definitely a good thing. These people would definitely conquer the world for him in the future. To his own people, Gu Fei had always been generous. After Gu Zhong and the old dragon's retribution, Gu Zhong was still fine. After all, his physical body was extremely strong. This level of heaven's retribution was still bearable for him. However, compared to Gu Zhong's ease, the old dragon had experienced a terrifying heaven's retribution. The half-saint retribution almost destroyed his soul. However, in the end, the old dragon endured it. On the third day, everyone stopped cultivating. The cauldron of elixir had only consumed a small part of it. Most of the elixir had been kept by Gu Fei. The chaos well was still absorbing the chaos qi. Where does this tunnel lead to? Gu Fei and the others came near the chaos well. The great, desolate divine ape had escaped into the chaos well. No one knew whether it was dead or alive. No one knew what was in the chaos well. I'll go in and have a look. You guys wait outside. Gu Fei stared at the chaos well for a while before saying this. What? Chapter 2188. Everyone was shocked to hear that Gu Fei wanted to enter the chaos well. One had to know that no one knew what was at the bottom of the chaos well. The great, desolate divine ape had been forced into the well by Gu Fei. If it had a choice, it wouldn't have entered the chaos well so recklessly. All of you wait outside. I believe no one will make things difficult for you. As Gu Fei spoke, he raised his head and glanced at the distant sky. There was a divine island floating high up in the sky, radiating a myriad of rays of light and 1,000 strands of auspicious qi. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. Everyone hurried to answer. Gu Fei took a step forward and entered the valley in front of him. He then entered the chaos well without hesitation. This Gu Fei, in the distant sky, the Earth Immortal Elder could not help but frown when he saw this scene with the mystic light technique. He had wanted to see Gu Fei previously for this matter. The Chaos Well was connected to a very dangerous place in the legends. Earth Immortal Father had sent many people into the Chaos Well. There was no lack of Immortal Tao experts among them. There was even an Immortal Path half-saint who entered the Chaos Well. However, none of them had returned. Even a half-saint had fallen there. This made Earth Immortal Father even more curious. Just what kind of place existed in the legends? He couldn't sit still when he saw the great desolate divine ape and Gu Fei enter the Chaos Well one after the other. Why aren't Big Brother's people here yet? Earth Immortal Father wanted to join forces with Gu Fei to explore the place, but the other party ignored him. He could only wait for the South Pole Immortal Sovereign's experts to arrive first. The South Pole Immortal Mansion had a very deep foundation. Although they had a high status, no one dared to look down on them. After Gu Fei entered the Chaos Well, Gu Zhong and the others found a nearby valley full of vitality and settled down for the time being. They had just eaten a treasure medicine made from the flesh of a saint beast. Their cultivation and strength had increased significantly, so they needed some time to consolidate. Roar. Just as Gu Zhong and the rest settled down in the valley, an earth-shattering roar rang out from outside the valley. A pitch-black giant beast the size of a small mountain appeared at the entrance of the valley. An incomparably fierce, baleful aura surged into the valley from the outside. Where did this evil creature come from? The hot-tempered bearded man among the 12 great bandits immediately shouted. Then, he strode out of the valley with 2 axes in his hands. As soon as Gu Fei entered the Chaos Well, a powerful savage beast came knocking on his door. This caused Gu Zhong and the others to be extremely shocked and furious. These fellows were truly tired of living. Could it be that these fellows knew that their master had just defeated the most powerful savage beast in the Great Desolate? A great battle broke out. The bearded man with 2 axes in his hands was the giant spirit battle king of the 12 great bandits. His arms had divine power, and with a chop of his axe, even a mountain would be split in half. However, the savage beast was not weak either. It was a black demon tiger. It was incomparably powerful and was one of the 10 beast emperors under the great desolate divine ape. The black demon tiger was covered in black fur and had a single horn on its forehead. Black lightning curled around the horn. None of the 10 beast emperors of the great desolate were easy to deal with. These beast emperors had slaughtered their way through the great desolate, and countless creatures had died under their claws. Roar. The black demon tiger roared angrily, and a violent aura spread from its body. The tiger's eyes turned blood red. The black demon tiger instantly entered a berserk state, and its combat strength increased by several times. With a single roar, the surrounding mountains collapsed. It was incomparably violent. Die. The giant spirit battle king swung his axe at the black demon tiger's head. On the huge axe, Tao patterns were faintly discernible, and a powerful wave spread from the axe. Among the 12 great bandits, the weakest had the cultivation of an almighty. The giant spirit battle king was the 9th among the 12 great bandits. His combat strength was not the weakest among the 12 great bandits. Swoosh! The black demon tiger left an afterimage on the spot. In the next moment, the black demon tiger had already pounced at the giant spirit battle king's side and bit at the giant spirit battle king's waist. Oomph! The axe in the giant spirit battle king's left hand chopped downwards. It was still a head-on attack as it chopped at the tiger's head. Clang! The black demon tiger stretched out its claws and slapped the axe that the giant spirit battle king had chopped down. Sparks flew everywhere, and the extremely heavy axe was actually moved a few feet to the side by the savage beast. What? The giant spirit battle king was taken aback. He had never expected that this ferocious tiger would also have divine strength and could actually slap his axe away. It should be known that the power of his strike was enough to split a mountain in half. At this time, although the giant spirit battle king was shocked and furious, he had experienced many battles. He naturally retreated and wanted to avoid the ferocious tiger's bite. However, the ferocious tiger had already taken the initiative and directly bit the giant spirit battle king's waist. Kill. The giant spirit battle king was furious. He had actually been bitten by this beast. If the other bandits were to see this, he would definitely become a laughingstock. This was absolutely unacceptable. Swoosh! There was a flash of blood. The black demon tiger was hit by the giant spirit battle king's axe and its entire head was almost chopped off. The injured black demon tiger retreated. The shocking wound on the ferocious tiger's neck was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, the wound was completely healed. The giant spirit battle king could not help but be surprised when he saw this. The ferocious tiger's body was extremely tough. Killing it was not an easy matter. At this moment, the giant spirit battle king felt a dull pain from his waist. The black demon tiger had bitten him, but it did not bite through his god artifact armor. However, even if it did not bite through the god artifact on his body, the force of the tiger's bite caused the giant spirit working's waist to ache faintly. Haha, 9th brother, do you need help? Suddenly, a loud laugh rang out from within the valley. An incomparably handsome young man walked out from within the valley. 3rd brother, you should just watch from the side as I cut this ferocious tiger into pieces, the 9th brother said in a low, muffled voice. The 9th giant spirit battle king said in a low and muffled voice. He was very unhappy. After eating the precious medicine, his strength had increased quite a bit. However, he couldn't even deal with a fierce tiger. This made him feel ashamed. Haha, take your time. I'll just watch. Chapter 2189. While the 9th of the 12 great bandits, the giant warrior monarch, was battling the black malice tiger, one of the 10 beast emperors of the great wilderness, Gu Fei was still moving quickly through the chaos passageway. What's going on? I still haven't reached the end. Gu Fei was shocked. He had been in the chaos passageway for almost 2 hours, but he still hadn't come out of it. 2 hours. With his cultivation, he would have already traveled millions of miles. Could it be that this chaos passageway was actually millions of miles long? The situation ahead was unclear. Gu Fei didn't use his extreme speed 8 steps, but just moved forward at an ordinary speed. Inside the chaos passageway, the primal chaos chi was vast. Even someone as strong as Gu Fei couldn't extend his divine will too far, as the primal chaos chi could block it. There really was a chaos passageway below the chaos well. The Iron Blood Taoist could see it, and so could Gu Fei. The great desolate divine ape had escaped here, but Gu Fei wouldn't let it go so easily. The ape's entire body was a treasure that could be refined into a divine medicine. The great era could only last for 1,000 years. Gu Fei knew that if he wanted to compete with countless geniuses in this great era for the chance to become a sage, he would need to build his own force. He couldn't do everything by himself, so he needed people to do things for him. The leaders of some superpowers only needed to issue an order, and countless people would work for them. This was a very realistic phenomenon. They didn't need to do anything themselves, but they could enjoy all kinds of cultivation resources. The peerless geniuses of the superpowers were able to grow, largely because they were nurtured by their sections. Although one still had to rely on one's own hard work to become a true peerless expert on the path of cultivation, with the help of countless cultivation resources, one could achieve twice the result with half the effort. The reason why Gu Zhong and the others' cultivation levels had improved so quickly was because of Gu Fei's help. They had a good master. Sometimes, Gu Fei would think that his disciples were really lucky. After receiving his guidance, their cultivation levels had improved faster than he had at the same time. When he was at their level, he was still training hard. That is, just as Gu Fei was recalling his arduous journey, the primal chaos aura in front of him grew even stronger. The primal chaos aura in the passageway actually showed signs of liquefaction. What happened? Gu Fei was bewildered. Could it be that there was a chaotic void ahead? Very soon, Gu Fei discovered that his guess seemed to be correct. There was an endless stream of chaotic aura ahead, and he could already see the exit of the chaotic passageway. Gu Fei did not expect that the end of the primal chaos passageway would really connect to the primal chaos void. The primal chaos void was the void between heaven and earth that hadn't been opened. There weren't any laws of heaven and earth in this void. It was an unopened primal chaos zone. Entering these primal chaos zones was very dangerous. If one got lost in the primal chaos, it would be very difficult to come out again. Even if one's life wasn't in danger, drifting in the primal chaos for the rest of one's life would still drive one crazy. Hence, even a saint-level existence wouldn't be willing to enter the primal chaos rashly. This was because no one knew how big the primal chaos zone was. Even sages could get lost in it. It seems like, when Gu Fei approached, he could use his spiritual will to probe the outside of the chaotic passageway. He was very surprised. The outside of the chaotic passageway didn't seem to be a primal chaos zone. The primal chaos aura that surged into the chaotic passageway formed a strong pressure. Gu Fei could only walk forward step by step. Even someone as strong as him felt the primal chaos astral winds blowing on his skin. It felt like a sharp blade was slicing through his skin. The strong pressure couldn't stop Gu Fei's footsteps. He directly walked out of the chaotic passageway. Outside the chaotic passageway, there was actually a thick and solid ground. Gu Fei was in disbelief. He didn't know what kind of place he had entered, but he was sure that this wasn't a primal chaos zone. He activated his martial Dao Heavenly Eye and scanned his surroundings. He saw that this was a primal chaos world. This world was filled with primal chaos aura, and there was a strong pressure in this world. Gu Fei felt as though there was a mountain pressing down on his body. If this was an unopened chaotic void, he was standing on a thick ground. However, if this was a world, it was filled with primal chaos aura. Roar. Just as Gu Fei was in shock, an angry roar came from afar. The rumbling sound waves caused the surrounding primal chaos aura to ripple. It was like the roar of an ancient ferocious beast. It's the great desolate divine ape. Hearing this roar, Gu Fei's mind shook, but he was immediately shocked. He could feel a genuine saint-rank power. How is this possible? How could that divine ape break the seal and recover its sage-level cultivation? The supreme aura of the divine Tao swept over, causing the entire chaotic world to tremble. If this was the human world, this world would have already collapsed. The powerful sage Tao power surged, and the chaotic world didn't collapse. This chaotic world seemed to be very stable. Even if a sage-level existence were to attack, they wouldn't be able to destroy this world. Rumble. Powerful ripples spread. The great desolate divine ape seemed to be in trouble and roared. Gu Fei carefully moved towards the source of the roar. Soon, he arrived nearby. That is, Gu Fei was shocked by what he saw. In front of him, the great desolate divine ape was releasing countless patterns of the great path. Every pattern was shining with dazzling divine light of the great path, lighting up the chaotic world. The powerful being fighting against the great desolate divine ape was a pitch-black stone man. The primal chaos aura surged around the stone man. This stone man was definitely a sage-level existence. It was extremely powerful, and it was fighting against the great, desolate divine ape that had its seal broken. This place, Gu Fei sensed the true power of the divine path from the great, desolate divine ape and felt a sense of helplessness. This power was too strong. Could this place be the legendary divine soil of chaos? Suddenly, Gu Fei thought of a possibility. Chaotic divine soil didn't belong to the three realms. It didn't belong to the five elements and only floated in the chaotic world. This kind of divine soil was said to have existed before the world was created. It was the most ancient divine soil in the world. In this divine soil, there were no rules of the universe. It was like the beginning of the chaos. In such a special place, even the mysterious power that could destroy sages lost its effect. Is this the opportunity to become a sage? Chapter 2190. The legendary chaotic divine soil was no longer within the three realms. It had jumped out of the five elements and was a transcendent place. Here, only the most primitive things existed and no worldly laws existed. In other words, it was a flawless pure land. At the same time, in the depths of an absolute region on Buzhou ancestral star, a colossal chaotic light pillar appeared. It was formed by chaotic chi spewing out from the depths of the earth. The opportunity to become a saint has finally appeared. Among the ancient forces on Buzhou ancestral star, a white-haired old man said with a trembling voice as he looked at the absolute region. He was so excited that his body was trembling. The opportunity to become a saint that only appears once every 10,000 years. Someone shouted. On this day, the entire cultivation world of Buzhou ancestral star was in an uproar. The super forces could no longer sit still and made their move first. They picked out the peak demi-saints who were most likely to become saints and prepared to conquer the absolute region and enter that legendary place. Boom! In the southern region of North Zhou ancestral star, a mountain peak deep in the mountains suddenly exploded. An old man in ragged clothes shot into the sky and headed for the absolute region. It's finally here. On a divine island deep in the South Pole divine sea of Buzhou ancestral star, a white-haired young man wearing a Taoist robe stood on the highest peak of the divine island and calculated with his fingers. There are more geniuses in this generation than in any previous generation. The white-haired young Taoist stopped calculating after a while and murmured to himself. It was as if the sun, moon, and stars were descending in his eyes. Rumble. In a golden palace in the north of Buzhou ancestral star, the heavy golden doors slowly opened and a tall figure that was shining with dazzling golden light like a golden sun walked out. The Gold Clan has been quiet for too long. It's time for a saint or two. The deity that seemed to be cast from gold muttered to himself. At this time, an old Buddhist chant came from the East coming Holy Land. The Buddhist lineage on Buzhou ancestral star was also alarmed and was about to send out peak demi-Buddhas to fight. When the Western demons appeared in the chaotic passageway, the demon lord of Buzhou ancestral star sent out an order to gather all the demons in the world. In an instant, the figures of various ancient demons that were said to have fallen appeared in the Western lands again. The Western lands were filled with demonic auras. It was then that the entire cultivation world of the ancestral star of Buzhou realized that the North Zhou demonic tribe still had a strong foundation, and they were not as weak as they looked on the surface, with some powerful ancient demons still living to this day. Not only the Buzhou ancestral star, but even in the depths of a great danger zone on the soaring dragon ancestral star, chaos pillars had appeared. Chaos mist connected the sky and the ground, emanating a terrifying energy wave. Waha! The opportunity to become a saint has finally appeared. I can finally become a saint. Soaring dragon ancestral star, deep in the southern wilderness, in a valley amidst the 100,000 mountain range, a howl that sounded like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves was heard, breaking the silence of the valley. Has Marshal Granduncle gone silly again? In the valley, a middle-aged man sitting cross-legged beside a pool of water muttered to himself. Lower your voice. If Marshal Granduncle hears you, you'll be punished to do hard labor again. On another big rock beside the pool, a middle-aged man carefully looked in the direction of the sound, then lowered his voice and said, Are you 9 guys itching for a beating again? At that moment, an extremely handsome young man in black clothes appeared above the pool without a sound. He stood in the air and glanced at the 9 cultivators sitting beside the pool. Greetings, Marshal Granduncle Hay. The leader of the 9 cultivators who were cultivating beside the pool quickly stood up and greeted the black-robed young man who had appeared above the pool. Greetings, Marshal Granduncle Hay. The others quickly followed suit and greeted the black-robed young man with great respect. It's your fortune to be able to receive my teachings. If it weren't for the fact that your master isn't here, even if you were to ask me to teach you, it would depend on my mood. The black-robed young man said. The black-robed young man was none other than Hei-Tian. Back then, Hei-Tian had obtained a great opportunity on the Crimson Star and refined a world left behind by an ancient sage. However, just as he and Gu Fei were about to leave, a peerless demon broke free because Hei-Tian had refined the ancient sage's world. When Hei-Tian saw that the situation was not good, he immediately hid in his inner world and only dared to come out after everything was over. By that time, Gu Fei had already lost himself in the endless starry sky. He wandered in the starry sky and finally went to the Kunlun ancestral star, then embarked on the human race's ancient road. Hei-Tian could not find Gu Fei, so he returned to the soaring dragon ancestral star and found the 9 disciples that Gu Zhong had accepted. Then, he hid in the 100,000 mountain range and taught these 9 guys. Marshal Granduncle Hay is right. Hung Xiong, the leader of the 9, nodded and said. They were very grateful to Hei-Tian. Over the past few decades, their cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds because of Hei-Tian's teachings. Of course, Hei-Tian's teaching method was a little different. He often gave them tasks, and if they failed to complete them, they would be punished severely. For example, there was one time when Hei-Tian was strolling outside and saw an ancient tomb. He had an idea and called Hung Xiong and the others to dig up the tomb. As a result, this ancient tomb turned out to be the tomb of an ancient powerhouse. When Hung Xiong opened the tomb, an incomparably powerful zombie actually jumped out. At that time, Hung Xiong and the others almost died under the zombie's sharp claws. May I know why Marshal Granduncle is looking for us? Hung Xiong asked carefully. Yes, there is. This time, I'm going out for a while. I don't know when I'll be back. You guys have to look after the sect and don't go out to cause trouble. If you provoke some big shot, I won't be able to save you. Hei-Tian said. This, Hung Xiong and the others couldn't help but be surprised and happy. Since Hei-Tian was going out for a while, they would be free. They were not the type to cause trouble, they just wanted to cultivate in peace. And in the valley, the one who caused the most trouble seemed to be Hei-Tian. You guys are happy that I left. Hei-Tian looked at the crowd and suddenly said, This. How could the disciples have such thoughts? Hung Xiong hurriedly shook his head. The others were also shocked by Hei-Tian and quickly nodded. What? Seeing the others nod, Hei-Tian's face immediately darkened. The crowd hurriedly shook their heads again. Hei-Tian snorted and said to himself, The opportunity to become a saint has finally appeared. Gu Fei will definitely not miss this opportunity. If there are no accidents, we should be able to meet again in that place. After saying that, Erebus' figure silently disappeared from the sky above the pond. No one was able to see how he had left. Marshal Granduncle and the others are coming back. Chapter 2191. The primal chaos passageway appeared everywhere in the human realm. As long as there was life in the ancestral star, there would be a primal chaos passageway. This phenomenon only appeared once in 10,000 years. It was an opportunity to become a sage. At this time, there was no longer any secret to speak of. The peerless geniuses that grew up in the ancestral lands would not miss this opportunity. Moreover, the competition in this era was unprecedentedly fierce. In order to become a sage, countless geniuses would become stepping stones for others. In the end, there would only be one who could become a sage. In the chaotic divine soil, as long as someone succeeded in becoming a sage, the entrance would close. It would only open after 10,000 years, when the next great era appeared. If one didn't leave the chaotic divine soil before the entrance closed, they would be trapped in the chaotic divine soil for 10,000 years. One should know that the chaotic divine soil was not a friendly place. The native living beings here were all innate chaotic life forms that were born from the primal chaos. Some of them were strong enough to kill a sage. If they stayed in such a place, they would be killed by those chaotic creatures sooner or later and become their food. 10,000 years was too long. No one was confident that they could survive for 10,000 years in the chaotic divine soil. Those peerless geniuses who entered the chaotic divine soil would seize every second. Tian left the 100,000 mountains and headed towards the ominous land of the soaring dragon ancestral star. At this time, the 4 ancient clans of the southern wasteland also took action. The geniuses of the 4 clans were gathered, preparing to enter the ominous land of the chaotic divine soil. The place where the primal chaos passageway appeared was an ominous land. Before entering the primal chaos passageway, there would be an elimination battle. Only those who could successfully enter the depths of the ominous land would have the chance to enter the primal chaos passageway. Of course, this was only a small test for the geniuses of the superpowers. It's time. That person will also go there. In the ancestral court of the Azure Dragon clan, a tall man was sitting on a mountain peak. At this time, this young man opened his eyes. The moment this person opened his eyes, the entire void seemed to suddenly light up, as if there was a flash of lightning. He was the Azure Dragon, the most powerful being in the Azure Dragon tribe. His cultivation base of great accomplishment quasi-sage allowed him to sweep away all opponents in the tribe. Back then, he was defeated by Gu Fei, which threatened his position in the clan. However, until today, no one could successfully shake his position in the clan. If he wanted to become the current Azure Dragon of the Azure Dragon clan, he had to possess a powerful strength that could sweep away all opponents. Up until now, no one had been able to take the title of Azure Dragon from his hands. Other than the Azure Dragon clan, the geniuses of the other 3 ancient clans of the Southern Wasteland had all come out. They had been waiting for this moment. The races of the Southern Wasteland were preparing, and so were the other superpowers in the soaring dragon ancestral star. Bells were ringing in the Western Buddhist land. Some of the rising stars of the Buddhist League had left the Buddhist land and appeared in the world. In the eastern region, someone saw the goddess of the Zhao clan, who had not appeared in front of the world for a long time, leave the Zhao clan. The mysterious Dongwang also walked out of the ancestral court of the Dongfang clan and appeared in front of the world. The emergence of the Donghuang shook the entire cultivation world of the eastern region. In the past few decades, 2 peerless geniuses had appeared in the eastern region of the soaring dragon ancestral star. One was the goddess of the Zhao clan, and the other was this Donghuang. One had to know that the title Donghuang was not something that anyone could use. Another era. In the northern lands, in the northern demon region, in the sky above a demon cave filled with demonic qi, an incomparably huge yin and yang diagram was revolving. The diagram devoured the worldly essence from all directions, suppressing the demon cave. In the center of the diagram, a majestic figure was sitting cross-legged. I wonder if this era will be able to. In the mysterious ghost city of Fengdu, a long sigh was heard. The human world had finally reached its most critical moment. Even an existence like the ghost emperor of Fengdu could not sit still any longer. In the soaring dragon ancestral star, powerful fluctuations came from some forbidden lands. Some existences that had lived since the dark age of antiquity until now were alarmed. Someone had once used a great mystic art to divine that there would be a variable in this era, but no one knew what that variable was. People from the Jiang clan and the Zhou clan left one after another, heading towards those forbidden lands. These cultivation clans that had existed for countless years had extremely deep foundations. In particular, the young Shan king of the Jiang clan, Jiang Ren, had been in the limelight in recent years. He was seen as one of the rising stars with the highest hopes of becoming a saint. Of course, there were also many old fogies who had yet to become saints who had waited until this era. In the previous era, it was difficult for them to become saints, so they went into hiding and waited until this era. Although these old fogies were failures in the previous era, they had still cultivated for tens of thousands of years. It was hard to imagine what level their cultivation had reached. Without a doubt, these old fogies would not miss this opportunity to become saints. Who didn't want to become a saint? While countless peerless geniuses in the ancestral lands were preparing for an expedition to the chaotic divine soil, Gu Fei had no idea that something earth-shattering was happening in the outside world. In the chaotic divine soil, the battle between the great desolate god ape and the chaos stone golem had reached its climax. Boom! The great desolate god ape's fist landed on the chest of the chaos stone golem. The powerful force shattered the golem's chest, leaving behind a deep fist print. At the same time, the chaos stone golem tore off a large chunk of flesh from the great desolate god ape's left arm. Even the bone was exposed. Although the great desolate celestial ape's arm had been torn off by Gu Fei, it was not difficult for the great desolate celestial ape to regrow its flesh and blood. At this moment, the great desolate celestial ape's right arm had already regrown. Kill. The great desolate god ape's eyes were bloodshot. Its saint aura was unprecedentedly strong. In this place, it had no qualms about using the power of the saint level. With a loud roar, 9 violet Tao patterns rushed out of the great desolate god ape's body and crushed towards the chaos stone golem. These were the 9 primordial Tao patterns. Each one of them possessed a powerful destructive power. They sealed the space around them and imprisoned the chaos stone golem. Rumble. The chaos stone golem sensed danger. Divine sounds of the great Tao emanated from its body, and a power no weaker than the great desolate god apes erupted. Trying to self-destruct? The great desolate god ape was shocked. Boom. At this moment, there was a loud explosion. A wave of destructive power exploded. The chaos stone golem really exploded. The powerful force was earth-shattering, and the 9 violet Tao patterns that were sealing the surroundings were all dispersed. Even the great desolate celestial ape was sent flying by this force. Even if the body was severely injured, it would not be fatal. Now, only other sages could threaten this divine ape. The great desolate divine ape scanned the surroundings from the top of the short mountain. He didn't need to seal himself. His pair of golden fiery eyes could see through the primal chaos and see thousands of miles away. But by this time, Gu Fei had already retreated thousands of miles away. In this chaotic divine soil, the spiritual will of cultivators was greatly suppressed. Walking on this piece of land was like carrying a huge mountain. The pressure here was at least several hundred times that of the outside world. Even immortals who could fly could only walk on the ground when they came here. It was difficult for them to soar into the sky. Even powerful beings could only barely fly. Only half-sages and quasi-sages could fly in this place. Of course, although half-sages and quasi-sages could fly in this place, it would consume a large amount of elemental chi. It was not as easy as it was in the outside world. In the chaotic divine soil, powerful immortals were like mortals in the outside world. Once they entered this place, they would not be able to survive, let alone fight for the sage Tao fruit. I will subdue you after I become a sage. The roar of the great desolate divine ape was heard from behind. However, Gu Fei turned a deaf ear to it and ran away. What a joke. This divine ape had completely recovered its sage cultivation. Even if Gu Fei used the immortal supremacy Tao body, he might not be a match for it. Although the immortal supremacy Tao body was strong, his avatar was too weak and could not control the power of an immortal supremacy. Otherwise, he could really fight against the great desolate divine ape. Since it was possible to become a sage here, everything would have to wait until he became a sage. In the chaotic divine soil, the void was dim and there was no light. Chaotic energy was floating everywhere. Even Gu Fei's immortal will could only cover a radius of 10 miles around him. He had to be careful. He had seen the strength of the living beings in the chaotic divine soil. Roar. When Gu Fei passed by a valley, a beast roar suddenly came from the valley. Then, heavy footsteps could be heard. A pitch-black bull rushed out of the valley. This barbaric bull's body was shrouded in chaotic energy. Its blood-red eyes stared at Gu Fei as it directly charged towards him. The 2 large horns on its head were sharp and pointed. If he was hit by the bull, 2 bloody holes would be left on his body. Evil beast. Gu Fei exhaled and threw a punch. directly hitting the head of the raging bull that was charging over. Bang! A heavy fist force erupted, blocking the charging bull. However, Gu Fei was also forced to take 3 steps back by the powerful rebounding force from the fist force. What? Gu Fei never thought that a bull that had yet to take human form would have such godly strength. It was hard to believe that it could push him back 3 steps. Roar! The barbarian bull roared as if it had gone mad. It charged at Gu Fei again, and the chaotic energy around it became even denser. Gu Fei was shocked to find that there were many wounds on the bull's body. They seemed to have been injured recently. There was actually something that could hurt this bull. Needless to say, this bull was a native of the chaotic divine soil. However, it was not a sentient divine beast that was born from the chaotic divine soil. A remnant of primordial chaos? Gu Fei stomped on the ground with his right foot and soared into the sky. The bull that was charging at him immediately rushed past him and hit a huge boulder that weighed hundreds of thousands of kilograms. The boulder was directly smashed by Barbarian Bull into a dozen pieces and smashed outwards. Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked. This remnant of the chaotic divine beast was very powerful. Ordinary experts would have a hard time subduing it. Even a half-step saint would have a headache. Unfortunately, this bull ran into Gu Fei. Gu Fei made a turn in the air and swooped down from the sky, landing a punch on the bulging spine of the Barbarian Bull. Crack! With a soft sound, Barbarian Bull's spine was immediately broken by Gu Fei's punch. With a broken spine, even the strongest remnant of the chaotic divine beast would not be able to stand up. The bull fell to the ground like a small mountain. Chapter 2193. Although the remnants of chaos were strong, they couldn't gain any advantage against Gu Fei. Gu Fei's martial body was even stronger than the remnants of chaos. Just as Gu Fei broke the bull's spine with one punch, causing the beast to lose its ability to fight, a few cold gazes appeared in the surrounding chaotic aura. Gu Fei was taken aback. He felt a dangerous aura, as if he was being stared at by a prehistoric beast. At that moment, a holy spirit walked out from the chaotic aura on the left. When Gu Fei saw the creature, he was taken aback again. The creature was covered in black scales and had a humanoid appearance. However, there was a single horn on its head. There were no pupils in its eyes, only a ball of black light. No wonder the barbarian bull attacked Gu Fei like a madman the moment it saw him. It was obvious that this creature had fought with the barbarian bull before. There were quite a few wounds on the creature's body, and there was even a bloody cut on its chest. However, to Gu Fei's surprise, the creature's blood was actually black. He sensed a faint demonic aura from this creature. There are demons in the chaotic divine soil too. Gu Fei muttered to himself. Roar! The human-shaped creature suddenly roared and pushed off the ground with both feet. It flew up and pounced at Gu Fei. The creature's hands were very long, and its 10 fingers were like 10 sharp little swords. If one were to be scratched by it, 10 bloody holes would definitely appear on one's body. What is this thing? Gu Fei didn't dare to be negligent. He immediately threw out a chaotic fist. The surrounding chaotic aura was immediately attracted and gathered towards his fist. Gotcha! Bam! Gu Fei's fist directly broke the creature's claws, and then his fist landed on the creature's head. Boom! With a bang, the humanoid creature's head exploded from Gu Fei's punch. The headless corpse flew away and smashed into the ground a few dozen meters away. With just one punch, Gu Fei had killed the unknown creature. Gu Fei was also surprised that he could kill a creature no weaker than the bull with a single punch. He realized that his chaotic fist seemed to be even more powerful in this place. The punch just now had actually attracted the surrounding chaotic aura. Human, you deserve to die. A voice suddenly rang out in Gu Fei's mind. It was a divine sense ripple, and it came from the powerful life form within the mass of primal chaos chi. Then, the powerful creature walked out of the primal chaos mist. When Gu Fei saw this creature, he couldn't help but be shocked. This creature was more than 10 feet tall, and its body was covered in silver scales. It was no different from the humanoid creature whose head was blown off by his punch. However, this creature's scales were silver in color. Careful, this is the demon spirit king." Just as the creature walked out, a voice suddenly rang out from the side. Gu Fei hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice. At this moment, the silver creature suddenly disappeared. Its movement was so fast that it didn't even leave behind a faint afterimage. "Humph!" Gu Fei laughed coldly and directly punched out. The speed of his punch seemed very slow, but it was actually an illusion that could cause people to misjudge. Bam! The space in front of Gu Fei suddenly trembled. Then, a sharp silver claw appeared in front of his fist, followed by a long silver arm, and then a whole body. Only then did the entire silver creature appear from the void. At this moment, Gu Fei finally saw clearly that on a mound 300 feet to his left, there was a man with tattered clothes, fluffy hair, and a face full of beard. This person looked like a beggar. His clothes were tattered, and his hair was dry and yellow. Moreover, it was stuck together, forming a lump. It was hard to imagine that this person hadn't bathed for a long time. "Ha!" Gu Fei exhaled. His right fist that was blocking the silver creature's sharp claw suddenly exerted force. An incomparably strong chaotic fist force suddenly exploded, sending the silver creature flying. Great completion quasi-sage cultivation. You are a human cultivator who came here to become a sage. The eyes of the person on the mound immediately lit up. Even his voice was trembling, as though he was very excited. Swoosh! At this moment, the silver creature that was sent flying by Gu Fei instantly disappeared into the void, as though it had become one with the surrounding void. "Let's get rid of these fellas first." As Gu Fei spoke, he stomped on the ground with his right foot. Boom! The entire ground instantly collapsed. His entire body shot up into the sky, pouncing towards a certain spot in the void at an extremely fast speed. Bam! He directly punched out. Roar! An angry roar was heard, causing the void to tremble. The silver creature was sent flying out of the void by Gu Fei's punch, howling in anger. There were still two powerful creatures in the nearby chaotic mist. However, they quickly retreated at this moment. What? The mysterious man in ragged clothes couldn't help but be shocked at this scene. The power of the demonic spirit king was undeniable. This was a type of remnant of the chaotic demons in the chaotic divine soil. This type of remnant of the demons was extremely powerful, especially the demonic spirit king. It was proficient in the void and could launch a silent attack, making it impossible for people to defend against it. However, this innate advantage of the demonic spirit king was ineffective today. Gu Fei's movement was also incomparably fast. After sending the demonic spirit king out of the void with one punch, the second punch instantly arrived. The powerful force once again sent the demonic spirit king flying. An ink-like blood seeped out from the demonic spirit king's mouth. As a remnant of the demons, this kind of demons didn't have a strong demonic nature due to the impure bloodline of the demons. However, it still possessed some characteristics of the demons. What a strong physical body! The man on the mound was dumbfounded. This person was really too fierce. He actually dared to fight against these remnant of the chaotic chaos. He had never seen such a fierce person before. At this time, Gu Fei displayed his might. He used his extreme 8-step speed to suppress the demonic spirit king. The demonic spirit king only lasted for a while before being trampled down from the sky by Gu Fei. Bam! The demon spirit king fell from the sky and heavily smashed into the ground, creating a large crater. The earth trembled and cracks appeared around the crater. "I'll send you on your way." Gu Fei waved his right hand, and a chaotic sword light rushed out from his hand. It was like a chaotic river, pouring down from the sky with unstoppable momentum. Swoosh! In the pit, the demonic spirit king, who had just climbed up, was directly split into two halves by this extremely sharp chaotic sword light. Demonic blood splattered everywhere. A powerful demonic spirit king that could easily tear a half-step saint into pieces was easily beheaded. Chapter 2194. The fact that Gu Fei had slain the demonic spirit king shocked the mysterious man in ragged clothes. He seemed to know just how powerful and terrifying the demonic spirit king was. Whoosh! Gu Fei took a step forward and came to the mound. "You, The mysterious man seemed to be startled and involuntarily took a step back. Behind his messy hair, a look of panic flashed across his eyes. An immortal cultivator. Gu Fei glanced at the man. He sensed an extremely obscure ripple of immortal energy from the man. He was hiding his strength. "Who are you?" The man asked Gu Fei with a flicker in his eyes. "I should be the one asking you that." Gu Fei suddenly smiled and said, "You're from the outside world. Have you been through another life?" The man mumbled to himself as if he couldn't hear Gu Fei's words. "Humph." Gu Fei snorted coldly. He used his power of the Great Path, which turned into the divine sound of the Great Path. It directly affected this person's heart, giving him a severe warning. "Ah." The man shuddered. His eyes behind his messy hair immediately became clear, no longer showing any signs of confusion. He had clearly woken up. "The 5 ancestral lands of the human world. Where are you from? Kunlun, Ziwei, or Primordial?" The man said, "You know about the 5 ancestral lands of the human world." Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. The reason he knew about the 5 great ancestral grounds of the mortal world was because he obtained a star chart of the mortal world. From the star map, he learned for the first time that apart from the soaring dragon ancestral star, there were 4 other ancestral grounds in the vast universe. "Humph, there's really no ancestral land of the human world that my G-clan doesn't know about," the man said proudly. The G-clan. Gu Fei was shocked to hear this. The surname G was the surname of the ancient human race. It was the surname of an invincible emperor who dared to compete with the extreme Tao Supremes. That invincible emperor had once quelled the chaos in the darkness and suppressed an entire era with his own strength. The chaos demons didn't dare to come out and could only struggle at death's door. However, the surname G had already disappeared from the soaring dragon ancestral star. There were no longer any members of the G clan in the soaring dragon ancestral star. "The entire ancestral star of Crepe Myrtle is the world of my G clan. You say that my G clan is powerful to such an extent, but how many things in the human world are there that my G clan doesn't know?" The man's tone became arrogant. So the G clan originated from the Ziwei ancestral star. Hearing this, Gu Fei was enlightened. No wonder the G clan on the soaring dragon ancestral star had gone extinct. It seemed like all the G clan members had returned to the soaring dragon ancestral star. "You are not from the Myrtle star. You must have come from another home planet." The man sized up Gu Fei and said, "I am from the soaring dragon ancestral star." Gu Fei looked at the man and said, "The soaring dragon ancestral star." The man seemed to be taken aback. "So you are from that place?" The man muttered to himself. "My name is Ji Changkong. I have been lost in this godforsaken place for about 10,000 years." The man suddenly let out a long sigh and told Yi Chun many things. It turned out that the chaotic passageway into the chaotic divine soil would appear once every 10,000 years, and the chaotic passageway would appear on all 5 of the ancestral stars. No one knew why the chaotic passageway would appear. Every time this happened, the cultivation world of the human world would usher in a great era. Geniuses would emerge in large numbers, and the entire cultivation world would prosper. Becoming a saint had become everyone's goal. However, the human world did not allow saints to appear. After the primordial era was broken, becoming a saint had become an unreachable goal. However, the appearance of the opportunity to become a saint had brought hope to all living beings. The chaotic divine soil was a sacred place that was not affected by the laws of heaven and earth. One could become a saint here. This was the hope of becoming a saint. Every time the chaotic divine soil reappeared, the cultivation world of the human world would usher in a great turning point. Countless experts would fight in the chaotic divine soil in order to become saints. This Ji Changkong was actually an antique cultivator from 10,000 years ago. He entered the chaotic divine soil to become a saint. However, in the bitter battle 10,000 years ago, he became a loser. Moreover, someone plotted against him, causing him to miss the chance to leave the chaotic divine soil and become trapped here. Originally, there had been 7 or 8 cultivators trapped in the chaotic divine soil with Ji Changkong. However, as time went by, these cultivators who followed Ji Changkong died one by one. In the end, Ji Changkong was left roaming the primal chaos divine soil alone. This chaotic divine soil was not a paradise. The native creatures here were all incomparably powerful. One of Ji Changkong's followers died under the claws of the demon spirit king. These demon spirits were the most commonly seen creatures in the chaotic divine soil. Aside from them, there were also some extremely powerful existences in this place. If one were to carelessly enter the territory of the chaotic divine soil, there would only be one result: death. The people of the various ancestral lands can enter this place. After hearing Ji Changkong's words, Gu Fei couldn't help but be shocked and happy. The chaotic divine soil could actually connect to the 5 ancestral lands of the human world. This was incomparably unexpected. Boom! Just at this moment, a loud sound came from the right. Chapter 2195. Ji Changkong was a peerless genius of the Ji clan on the crepe myrtle star 10,000 years ago. He had cultivated for a few hundred years, but he was already strong enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with the older generation of cultivators. It should be known that not everyone could enter the chaotic divine soil to fight for the opportunity to become a saint. Ji Changkong was able to survive 10,000 years in the chaotic divine soil. This in itself was enough to show how extraordinary he was. Back then, if he had not been plotted against, he would have become a saint long ago. He would not have ended up in such a miserable state. Who dares to peep at me? Just as Gu Fei approached the ancient city, the giant attacking the ancient city immediately sensed Gu Fei's arrival and shouted. Gu Fei did not say anything and walked out of the chaotic fog. I didn't expect to meet someone from the same clan so soon after entering. The mountain-like giant stopped and stared at Gu Fei. His voice reverberated in all directions, dispersing the chaotic mist in the surroundings. Kill! Suddenly, the giant swung his axe towards Gu Fei's head. There were faint traces of the Tao on the divine axe, and the power of the great Tao was condensing. Only one saint could appear. The giant directly attacked Gu Fei, wanting to catch him off guard and eliminate Gu Fei. Damn it! Gu Fei tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and instantly moved 300 meters away, dodging the giant's axe that was chopping down on his head. Huh! Gu Fei exhaled and punched the giant with his right fist. An extremely strong fist force exploded. One could see transparent ripples around the fist with the naked eye. And the giant was clearly shocked. He never thought that his opponent would be so strong and counterattack. Furthermore, his opponent's punch was shockingly powerful. Whoosh! The gigantic body, which was several thousand zhang in length, disappeared and a burly man wielding twin axes appeared before Gu Fei. Wielding the twin axes, the burly man blocked Gu Fei's fist. Bang! Gu Fei's punch landed directly on the axe. The man only felt an unstoppable force coming from the axe. His hands that were holding the axe felt a sharp pain, and he couldn't help but take 5 or 6 steps back. That person's expression changed drastically. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate today. Then, that person directly turned around and left, actually not daring to contend against Gu Fei. He still didn't want to die. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, he immediately fled. However, Gu Fei would not let those who wanted his life go so easily. Being merciful to one's enemy was being cruel to oneself. This was especially true in this chaotic divine land. For the sake of becoming a saint, these people would do anything. Shwa. With a single step, Gu Fei had already caught up to that person. With a wave of his right hand, a streak of chaotic sword light immediately shot out towards the person in front of him. There was nothing much to say. Since the other party wanted his life right from the start, there was no need for Lin Fan to show any mercy. Just as Gu Fei's chaotic sword light was about to land on that person's body, a ball of godly light suddenly surged out from that person's body. Then, the ball of godly light shrunk and disappeared along with that person. The chaotic sword light slashed across the ground and disappeared into the chaotic mist. Under the impact of the sword chi, a sword mark was left on the ground. You're lucky to escape. Gu Fei didn't expect this person to be so decisive as to use a treasure to escape. Who was that? How could he be so powerful? At this moment, a figure fell out from the void 100,000 miles away from Gu Fei. This person was the man who attacked Gu Fei earlier. This man was still in a state of shock. If he had been any slower in escaping, he would have lost his life. Even though he had used a greater teleportation talisman, it was definitely worth it. Rumble. As soon as this man came out from the void, a ball of divine fire descended from the sky and burned towards him. Within the fire, a divine bird could be vaguely seen. Preposterous. The man was enraged. He immediately swung his divine axe and broke through the layers of fire towards the divine bird in the divine fire. His murderous intent was shocking. The living beings that entered the chaotic divine soil met each other. There was nothing much to say. They only had one goal: to kill each other and survive. Only those who survived could become sages. To countless geniuses, the great world of the human world was a disaster. Of the living beings that entered the chaotic divine soil, less than 1% of them would survive. This was the cruel path to becoming a saint. It was a path paved with the blood and bones of countless geniuses. So powerful. Could you be the descendant of the legendary martial ancestor? Ji Changkong had already come to Gu Fei's side. Gu Fei was able to force back an incomparably powerful existence the moment he made a move. This caused Ji Changkong to be extremely shocked. In his opinion, Gu Fei had a very high chance of standing out in this battle. The Ji clan of the Myrtle Ancestral Star really knows everything. Gu Fei turned to look at Ji Changkong. His eyes were sparkling. According to Ji Changkong's words, the Ji clan was the strongest on the Crepe Myrtle Ancestral Star. To Gu Fei, this was definitely an amazing thing. One had to know that an ancestral star could give birth to countless powerful living beings. For example, the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star and the Buzhou Ancestral Star could not be ruled by a single power. However, this seemingly impossible thing had become a reality on the Myrtle Ancestral Star. There are many chaotic spiritual treasures in this ancient city. If you can get them, becoming a saint will not be a problem. Ji Changkong said as he stared at the ancient city in front of him. Chaotic spiritual treasures. Gu Fei couldn't help but be moved. Chaotic spiritual treasures were spiritual beings born from the primal chaos. In the human world, such spiritual beings could not be found. Only in the chaotic divine soil could one obtain chaotic spiritual treasures. Occasionally, one could see flashes of light in the ancient city. Those were spiritual beings that had gained sentience moving, trying to rush out of the city. No wonder the giant wanted to break the ancient city's seal. So it was for the chaotic spiritual treasures. What's the origin of this ancient city? Gu Fei asked. Ji Changkong had been trapped in the chaotic divine soil for tens of thousands of years. Naturally, he knew many of its secrets. I think you should give up on the chaotic spiritual treasures. Back then, many people wanted them, but they all died in the ancient city. Chapter 2196. The pitch-black ancient city was faintly discernible in the primal chaos. Nobody knew why there was an ancient city in the primal chaos divine soil. One must know that the living beings in the primal chaos divine soil were all incomparably powerful. There was no need for them to build an ancient city. Even some of the royal members of the primal chaos clans lived in grotto heavens filled with spiritual energy. It was impossible for them to build an ancient city. Only human settlements would have an ancient city. In other words, this ancient city was most likely built by humans. Perhaps it was a divine city built by the primal chaos gods. Otherwise, how could this ancient city trap a primal chaos spiritual treasure? Swoosh! A resplendent five-colored divine light flashed in the ancient city. It was a plant that emitted a five-colored divine light. It was like a five-colored divine flame that disappeared in the blink of an eye. What is that? Outside the ancient city, Gu Fei happened to see this scene. Even with a layer of seal, he could still feel a powerful five-elemental aura seeping out from the ancient city. That's a five-elements divine ginseng. It has already gained intelligence and can absorb nutrients from the primal chaos, turning it into five elemental essences. This divine ginseng is comparable to half an immortal herb. Ji Changkong said. The five elemental essences that were born from the primal chaos? Gu Fei could not help but be moved. This divine ginseng was incredible. It should be a divine item that was born from the first 5 elemental essences that evolved from the primal chaos. Even if it was not an immortal herb, it was comparable to half an immortal herb. Gu Fei immediately thought of Ziyun Xiao. That guy had the great 5 elements physique. If he saw this divine ginseng, how would he react? Even Gu Fei could vaguely guess what a 5 elements divine ginseng meant to Ziyun Xiao. If Ziyun Xiao saw this divine herb, he would probably go crazy. If he could obtain this divine herb, he might be able to break through his bottleneck and soar into the sky, becoming a sage. There must be great opportunities in this ominous land, Gu Fei muttered to himself. The fact that this ancient city could trap chaos spiritual treasures inside was enough to prove the problem. If it was so easy to obtain chaos spiritual treasures inside the ancient city, they would have long been taken away by others. Boom! Gu Fei directly attacked the seal of the ancient city and punched out. A layer of transparent light shield appeared in the void and enveloped the ancient city. On the transparent light barrier, Dao patterns could be seen faintly. Gu Fei was just testing the waters, but the power of this punch was enough to smash a mountain into pieces. However, only a few ripples appeared on the layer of light in front of him. What a powerful seal! Gu Fei was secretly surprised. This seal was definitely at the saint level. It should be known that he could break any seal below the saint level with a single punch. If he used an extreme Dao God weapon, he would be able to break this seal. However, Gu Fei did not wish to do so. He had obtained a fusion Dao fruit during the fight for the Undying God Tree previously. In this place, he could use this immortal divine fruit to break through to the saint level. No one could break the ancient city's seal. He could break through to Saint Realm first, then come back here to break the seal and take away the chaos spiritual artifact. Thinking of this, Gu Fei made up his mind. Just as Gu Fei was about to leave, an obscure aura suddenly came from afar. He quickly retreated. Ji Changkong seemed to have also sensed something strange and retreated together with Gu Fei. A cry of surprise rang out. After that, 2 figures walked out from the primal chaos. They were 2 old men, 2 strange old men. One of them was dressed in black, and his entire body was like a black hole, constantly devouring the essence energy in the surroundings. Even light seemed to be devoured by him. The other old man seemed to be surrounded by a starry sky. Specks of starlight flickered in the void around him, emitting the power of stars. Why are these 2 old men here? Gu Fei was hidden in the primal chaos mist far away. When he saw the 2 old men, he could not help but be shocked. He was not unfamiliar with them. They were the 2 ancient half-saints from the eastern region Dongfang clan of the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. The ancient half-saint Jiuyo and the ancient star half-saint appeared outside the ancient city. Could this chaotic divine soil really be connected to the various ancestral stars? Gu Fei was incomparably excited. He had left the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star for a long time. He wanted to return to the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. If he could become a half-saint here and return to the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, the Dongfang clan would definitely be erased from the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. Do you know these 2 old men? Ji Changkong noticed Gu Fei's expression and asked. I don't just know them. I have a great enmity with them. Gu Fei said hatefully. His eyes flickered with ferocity. Just as he was about to make a move, a figure silently appeared outside the ancient city. Preposterous. When Gu Fei saw that figure, he immediately pulled Ji Changkong and instantly left with his extreme speed. That monkey. Ji Changkong was very confused. He did not know why Gu Fei retreated as soon as he saw the monkey. Could it be that the monkey was an existence that could threaten Gu Fei? Gu Fei did not dare to stay any longer. He immediately rushed far away before finding a valley and dashing into it. Roar! An earth-shattering roar came from the valley. Then, a huge figure flew out of the valley and smashed into the outside with a loud bang. Ji Changkong felt a tremor under his feet. It was a dragon-horned beast. Its body was as huge as a small mountain. It smashed a huge pit in the thick ground. The dragon-horned beast roared and struggled to climb out of the pit. Then, it rushed into the distance without looking back. The dragon-horned beast seemed to be greatly frightened. It immediately ran away and did not dare to stay any longer. Ji Changkong was extremely shocked. This young man is even more ferocious than the remnants of chaos. He had been trapped in the chaotic divine land for 10,000 years. Naturally, he was very clear on the incomparably strong remnants of chaos. This dragon-horned beast was a ferocious beast with the blood of a true dragon flowing through its veins. The creatures in the chaotic divine land would more or less inherit some tyrannical bloodlines. The true dragon of chaos was a supreme existence. I'm going into closed-door cultivation. Just as Ji Changkong was shocked, a voice rang out in his mind. Gu Fei was transmitting his voice to him. Ji Changkong could not help but be startled when he heard this. This person just entered the chaotic divine land, and he is going into closed-door cultivation. Could it be that he intends to break through to that realm? Thinking of this, Ji Changkong could not help but feel excited. He had been trapped here for 10,000 years. In the end, he did not become a martial sage. This had something to do with the plot against him back then. Thinking of what happened back then, Ji Changkong could not help but feel excited. He forcefully suppressed the hatred in his heart. Then, he climbed a small mountain in the periphery of the valley and sat down cross-legged on a large rock at the peak. This valley was the territory of the dragon-horned beast. The dragon-horned beast was incomparably strong. Among the countless remnants of chaos, it was definitely in existence like a beast king. Very few remnants of chaos dared to barge into the territory of the dragon-horned beast. At this moment, Gu Fei was sitting cross-legged in front of an ancient cauldron in the valley. The ancient cauldron was mostly filled with herbs. These herbs refined from the flesh of holy beasts were no longer of much use to him. He took out the Tao fusion fruit from the cauldron. The divine fruit gave off the faint sound of the great Tao, resonating with the heavenly Das. The divine fruit contained fragments of the great Tao and could automatically condense the energy of the great Tao. This was the Tao fusion fruit. After a cultivator ate it, it would change their physique, allowing them to get closer to the great Tao, resonating with it and comprehending it. With the Tao fusion fruit, Gu Fei believed that his chances of reaching the great Tao were at least 60%. It had to be said that he had already made all sorts of preparations before this. The 10 years of meditation had not been for nothing. His understanding of the great Tao had deepened by another level. In the end, Gu Fei did not eat the Tao fusion fruit. Instead, he put it away along with the ancient cauldron. He wanted to rely on his own strength to break through to the saint level. While Gu Fei was in seclusion, the peerless geniuses from the 5 ancestral planets finally met in various parts of the chaotic divine soil. Without any suspense, a fierce battle was inevitable. Rumble, the battle between a giant and a firebird reached its climax. The flames burned half the sky red and dispersed the chaotic mist. Within the flames, Tao patterns could be vaguely seen. These were Tao flames that could burn everything in the world. However, the giant that was fighting the firebird held a pair of divine axes. He constantly used brute force to break through the layers of Tao flames and slashed at the firebird. In the end, the giant retreated, and the firebird also soared into the sky, disappearing into the chaotic mist. This battle caused quite a commotion. However, the two great experts seemed to have fought to the point where both sides were injured. Neither could kill the other. In the end, they could only retreat. Meanwhile, in another area, a golden dragon shadow suddenly appeared and sliced a remnant species of chaos in half. A sneaky fellow then appeared and waved his hand. The golden dragon shadow immediately transformed into a golden dragon saber and flew back to that person's hand. Ha ha ha, not bad. The true dragon bloodline in this dragon-armored beast isn't that thin. That person laughed loudly. He activated a mysterious technique and directly extracted the bloodline power from the remnant of chaos that was cut in half by his sword. Then, he devoured it. After devouring the power of the true dragon's bloodline, this person's face immediately flushed red as if he was drunk. The bloodline power of the remnant of chaos is really strong. I should be able to break through after devouring the blood essence of a few more remnant of chaos. The mysterious black-cloaked person muttered to himself. The mysterious man in the black cloak mumbled to himself. His cultivation technique was somewhat different from the others. He needed to devour the blood essence of various powerful constitutions to improve his cultivation and constitution. Chapter 2197. In a certain region of the divine chaotic soil, a little monk dressed in a moon-white robe was sneaking around. This region was not simple. There were many winding mountain ridges, and in the middle of them was a short mountain. Rather than calling it a short mountain, it was more appropriate to call it a mound. From time to time, bones could be seen scattered among the rocks in the mountain ridges around the mound. There seemed to be great danger here, and it gave off a strong sense of oppression. The little monk was very careful. He carefully walked around the mountain ridges around the mound, as if he was looking for something. He did not directly step into the range of the mound. There really is an earth-shattering existence buried here. The little monk had practically walked through all the ridges around the mound. Then, he climbed up one of the tallest ridges and looked at the mound in front of him. The mound in front of him was even taller than the mountain ridges he was on. The mound had a radius of several dozen miles, and it had suddenly appeared in the middle of the mountain ridges. The little monk murmured to himself on top of the mountain ridges, his eyes shining brightly. He had come from the eastern Arrival Holy Land, so he knew many of the secrets of the divine chaotic soil. To some of the super forces, the divine chaotic soil that appeared once every 10,000 years was actually no secret. It should be known that these super forces had existed for countless 10,000 years. These super forces had fought in the divine chaotic soil more than once, so they naturally knew many of the secrets of the divine chaotic soil. There was no sun or moon in the divine chaotic soil, and one could not even sense the passage of time. Even the most basic laws of the world had not evolved in such a chaotic place. The little monk pondered for a long time, then sent out a clone to walk forward. Although it was only a clone, it was no different from walking into the range of the mound himself. Everything that the clone sensed would be immediately sensed by the main body. Swoosh! Just as the little monk's clone stepped into the range of the mound, a beam of divine light suddenly appeared without any warning and directly destroyed the clone. The little monk could not help but be shocked when he saw this. A drop of vermilion blood seeped out from between his brows. He had also suffered a blow when his clone was destroyed. As expected, the little monk didn't dare to probe any further. There really was an ancient tomb where a peerless powerhouse was buried. Moreover, this ancient tomb was enveloped by a layer of sealing power. The ancient tomb was very old. There was no tombstone, only a large mound was preserved. Everything else had been completely eroded by the merciless passage of time. The tomb of a peerless expert was definitely not a good place. Saint-level seal. Although the little monk was unwilling, he still chose to retreat for the time being. As long as he could become a sage, everything would no longer be that difficult. This little baldy is really careful. After the little monk left, a black silhouette silently appeared at the place where the little monk had stood. It looked in the direction the little monk had left and muttered to itself. Then, the black shadow also disappeared. The little monk walked through the primal chaos divine soil. This was a kind of tempering. Even if it was a disciple of the Buddhist sect who entered the primal chaos divine soil, they would still go on a killing spree. What exactly is he looking for? A mysterious black shadow had been following behind the little monk. The mysterious person quickly discovered that the little baldy didn't seem to be randomly bumping around in this part of the Holy Land. After an unknown amount of time, the little monk actually arrived at the foot of a huge mountain. This was a huge mountain of unknown height. There were many traces of people around the mountain, and at the peak of the mountain, there was a rare divine medicine. This time, the little monk had come here for the divine medicine at the peak of the mountain. Roar! Just as the little monk approached the peak of the mountain, a roar suddenly rang out. Then, the shadow of a dragon rushed out from the peak of the mountain. The aura of a true dragon was vast and mighty. Infinite longevity Buddha. Seeing this scene, the little monk couldn't help but be shocked. This dragon-shaped creature wasn't a true dragon, but an old flood dragon that had already grown dragon horns. This old flood dragon was extremely powerful. It was definitely an old emperor of this primal chaos divine soil. In the primal chaos divine soil, there weren't many existences that could truly suppress this old flood dragon. The little monk directly retreated, but the speed of the old flood dragon was truly too fast. It was like a shadow following the body, making it difficult for the little monk to truly pull away from the old flood dragon. Without any suspense, a great battle erupted. Boom! The void trembled, and the body of the little monk emitted millions of golden Buddha lights. The shadow of a giant Buddha appeared in this part of the world. Buddha is with me. The little monk's right palm directly slapped towards the old flood dragon that was charging towards him. Rumble. Following the little monk's action, the incomparably huge Buddha shadow that appeared on his body also struck forward. The huge Buddha hand that was like a mountain enveloped the old flood dragon under the Buddha hand. In the palm of the Buddha hand, a swastika vaguely appeared. The old flood dragon seemed to have sensed danger. It opened its mouth and spat out a divine pearl, smashing towards the enveloping Buddha hand. Within the divine pearl, there was a shocking power of a true dragon. In the void around the divine pearl, the shadow of a dragon was constantly faintly discernible, and faint dragon roars could be heard from the void. Dragon pearl. Seeing the old flood dragon spit out the divine pearl, the little monk couldn't help but be surprised and delighted. He never expected that the body of an old flood dragon that had yet to transform into a true dragon had already nurtured a dragon pearl. Obviously, the old flood dragon was suppressing its own cultivation. Boom! With a loud bang, the divine pearl that emitted a terrifying dragon aura smashed against the Buddha hand that was slapping down from the sky. Two extremely powerful forces collided. The void was rippling, but it wasn't destroyed. This was the divine land of chaos. Compared to the outside world, this chaotic world was many times more stable. If it was in the outside world, when the power of the little monk and the old flood dragon collided, perhaps the entire void would be annihilated. The old flood dragon's cultivation was unfathomable. The dragon pearl that he spat out directly smashed the Buddha hand that was slapping down from the sky and continued to smash towards the little monk. Sacred beast. The little monk was taken aback. The strength of the other party was far beyond his expectations. Without any hesitation, the little monk was directly sent flying away. He then turned around and left, not daring to stay at all. There was no need to fight against a sacred beast. Before becoming a sage, even the most outstanding existence would find it difficult to contend against a true sage-level expert. A true sage-level expert was far from being comparable to those sealers who had sealed their own sage-level cultivation. Roar! The old flood dragon directly chased after the little monk. This puny human actually dared to offend it and covet the divine medicine that it was guarding. He was simply tired of living. This mountain was the old flood dragon's territory, and the divine medicine on the mountain peak was also guarded by the old flood dragon. This divine medicine was definitely a priceless treasure to the old flood dragon. As the little monk and the old flood dragon chased, they quickly disappeared at the end of the horizon. At this moment, the mysterious person who had been carefully hiding at the side walked out. He glanced in the direction that the little monk and the old flood dragon disappeared in, and directly rushed towards the mountain peak. Soon, the mysterious person dodged the various traps set by the old flood dragon and successfully reached the mountain peak. This is, on the mountain peak, on a blood-colored stone, there was a small tree that was only a few feet tall. It was a blood-red small tree, and on the small tree, there was also a blood-colored fruit. The fruit was the size of a fist, and there was a layer of red spiritual chi on the fruit. Blood peach. When the mysterious person saw the fruit, he could not help but be moved. This was a rare divine medicine in the world. Although it was not an immortal divine medicine, it still had a heaven-defying effect. No wonder the old flood dragon was so furious when the little monk dared to rush up the mountain. This blood peach was too important to the old flood dragon. This was a fruit that could extend one's lifespan and allow an old person to regain their vitality and become young again. The blood peach had another name. It was called the youth rejuvenation fruit. To think that there was such a tree growing on the mountain peak, it was really shocking. The old flood dragon had lived for countless years, and this blood peach was enough for him to live a second life. Hee, I got lucky. The mysterious person in black took out a jade box and then went forward to pluck the blood-colored fruit. After that, he used his magic to move the blood-colored stone and the tree that was rooted on the stone into his inner world. The blood peach was ripe, and it was time to pluck it. Roar. Just as the mysterious person in black moved the tree into his inner world, an earth-shattering roar was heard from afar, and an extremely powerful sage-level aura could be felt. Swoosh. The mysterious person in black's expression changed, and he immediately teleported away. Despicable humans. An old flood dragon came from afar. When the old flood dragon saw that the blood peach on the mountain peak had disappeared, and there was only a huge pit where the blood peach used to be, he almost vomited blood. His eyes were red. He had fallen into a trap. The other party lured him away, and the other party's companions took advantage of the time when he was away to sneak up the mountain and steal the blood peach along with the tree. Kill! I'm going to kill all of you. The old flood dragon roared and rushed into the distance. He had been guarding the blood peach tree on the mountain for close to 10,000 years. Just as the blood peach was about to ripen, someone stole it along with the tree. How could he not be mad? Haha, this is a great bargain. Even in the ancient times, these blood immortality peaches are extremely rare items. In a mountain range thousands of miles away from the mountain, the mysterious person in black was extremely excited. The blood peach was a lifesaver for a cultivator. This fruit could allow a cultivator to live a second life. Even a sage would be jealous of it. One should know that even a sage would die. If there was a fruit like this, a sage who was about to die could be revived. Chapter 2198. Boom! A huge mountain exploded. Rocks flew everywhere, and dust filled the air. A silver-colored flood dragon rushed out and roared at the sky. Several geniuses of the human race were directly turned into a mist of blood in the midst of its roar. Evil flood dragon, how dare you kill my race's geniuses? A furious roar rang out, and a white-haired old man broke through the chaotic mist and rushed over from the distance. Die! The silver-colored flood dragon swung its tail at the incoming old man. Silver runes appeared on the dragon's tail, interweaving into a terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth. What? When the old man sensed this power, he was shocked. Without any suspense, the old man who rushed over was slapped by the flood dragon's tail and exploded into a mist of blood. Both his body and soul were destroyed. A little ant dares to be so presumptuous in front of a dragon? How laughable. The flood dragon was extremely powerful. He killed everywhere and specifically targeted the human race. He had already killed several batches of human geniuses. The human race's geniuses met with a great calamity. Very quickly, this news spread among the human race, causing all the geniuses who entered the chaotic divine soil to feel nervous. Those who could enter the chaotic divine soil to fight for the saint position were all geniuses from their ancestral planets. These geniuses were the brightest stars in their respective ancestral planets. But in the primal chaos divine soil, everything changed. The so-called geniuses here were in danger of dying at any moment. It was said that in one generation, only one saint could be born. No one knew why this was so. As long as someone became a saint in the chaotic divine soil, the others would not have the chance to do so. No one could break this phenomenon. When a person became a saint, his strength would suppress all the Taoists in the world. No matter how amazing and heaven-defying an existence was, their Tao would be suppressed, making it impossible for them to become a saint. Some people thought that this was the reason why only one person could become a saint in one generation. However, some people did not agree with this. The Tao of a saint could suppress other Taoists. This was inevitable. However, saints were not invincible. The Tao of a saint could not be resisted. As long as someone had the confidence and determination to break through the suppression of the Tao of a saint, they could also soar to the sky and become a saint. These were two different viewpoints in the world of cultivation. The first view had already been proven. There could only be one saint in a generation. Countless years had passed, and no one had been able to break this iron law. The second point of view had yet to be verified. After the blood peach of immortality was stolen, the old dragon was enraged and went on a rampage in the chaotic divine land. As long as he saw a human, he would definitely kill them. The continuous fall of human geniuses finally alarmed those super forces. Boom! An old man descended upon the primal chaos divine soil. He was a sealer, but after entering the primal chaos divine soil, he didn't have any misgivings. He directly undid all the seals on his body and recovered his peak power. The sages of the human race had finally appeared. In the chaotic divine soil, the aura of a sage was as clear as a lamp in the dark, causing all living beings to tremble in fear. The sages who entered the chaotic divine soil would not casually make a move. They had their own scruples, especially against the juniors who had yet to become sages. If someone dared to do so, it would be a huge taboo, and they would become everyone's enemy. Two fists couldn't fight against four hands. Even someone as strong as a sage could fall. The arrival of the sages made all the geniuses of the human race extremely excited. Boom! A great battle erupted. Just as the old dragon was about to attack a genius from a super force, the sage of that super force had just arrived. A dazzling divine light rushed out, directly destroying a mountain range and turning it into ashes. The power of a sage was too strong, and this was the result of being in the chaotic divine land. "You long worm, you're too much," the sage of the human race shouted, and his voice spread far. "Kill." That old silver flood dragon didn't say anything and immediately used a killing move. He opened his mouth and spat out a silver, heavenly river that charged towards the saint opposite him. This was a sage technique. It was extremely terrifying. Buzz. The sage of the human race didn't dare to be slow. The space in front of him trembled and a bronze mirror appeared in front of him. On the surface of the bronze mirror, black and white Tao patterns appeared. The power of yin and yang interweaved. Swoosh. The destructive divine light shot on the bronze mirror and was actually reversed by the bronze mirror, shooting back towards the old dragon. What? The old dragon was shocked. He directly soared into the sky and dodged the attack. The bronze mirror in his opponent's hand was very extraordinary. It could actually reverse his attack. Buzz. The bronze mirror in the sage's hand trembled again. Black and white divine light rushed out from the bronze mirror, turning into a yin-yang divine diagram that suppressed the old dragon. As soon as the diagram appeared, the surrounding chaotic fog was immediately drawn over and entered the diagram, being assimilated by the yin and yang qi on the diagram. The yin-yang divine diagram devoured the surrounding chaotic qi and its power increased rapidly. The diagram emitted a powerful wave that seemed to be able to destroy the world. Although the old dragon was strong, he had to be careful at this moment. The sage artifact in his opponent's hand could actually refine chaotic qi for its own use. It was truly terrifying. One should know that in this chaotic divine land, there wasn't much of anything but chaotic qi. The silver flood dragon directly unleashed his strongest killing technique. He opened his mouth and spat out a dragon pearl. 9 dragon shadows rushed out of the dragon pearl and coiled around it. Roar. The void seemed to be filled with the roars of dragons. A powerful wave spread out from the dragon pearl. At the old dragon's level of cultivation, he already had the qualifications to transform into a dragon. However, he was still accumulating and suppressing it. He had waited for almost 10,000 years. He was waiting for the blood peach to ripen. If he consumed the blood peach when he was transforming into a dragon, the true dragon blood in his body would be infinitely close to that of the ancestral dragon. The blood peach had the effect of purifying the true dragon blood. After waiting for 10,000 years, the old dragon was destroyed by the human race. This made the old dragon go crazy and start a massacre. However, the ancient sages of the human race would not just sit and watch. One should know that these geniuses were the future of the human race. Especially in this generation, there would probably be someone who would become a sage. This was a very serious matter. Before one truly became a saint, even the most stunning genius would be mercilessly killed by this old flood dragon. To the old dragon, these geniuses of the human race were just a bunch of ants. Boom. At this moment, the dragon pearl that emitted a monstrous true dragon aura clashed with the yin-yang divine diagram of the human race. The power of 2 sages clashed.